After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Rounds 1 and 2 of the North American Racing League Porsche Cup Season 2 lead us to Australia for a third, and it's set to be a fun one. It's a sunrise race down under, so track temps are cool and conditions are just right for some grippy and thrilling Porsche Cup racing. Hi, welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Phillip Island circuit. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with JP Costa alongside this evening as per usual. And the theme this season, JP, seems to be past and or current Formula One tracks, continuing this evening with the site of the first ever Australian Grand Prix held here at Phillip Island from 1928 through 1935. It's a fast, flowing, and punishing course, and JP, Phillip Island is a tough place to race.
Oh, absolutely it is, Andrew. I'm so happy to be here. It's going to be an interesting challenge for these guys, as you mentioned. Unforgiving racetrack. We've been here a couple times, if I'm not mistaken, and sure, it was unforgiving. A lot of drivers made quite a few costly mistakes, and I expect, unfortunately, to see more of those. You can see here, just by the nature of the track, Andrew, not a single runoff area, I don't think. A lot of elevation changes, quite a lot of corners, a lot of them extremely fast. Should be fun.
Yeah, every corner on this track looks like a sweeper aside from 4 and 10. Those are two hairpins. Even Siberia, turn 6, is a bit of a sweeper. It's just kind of a sweeping hairpin, which you don't hear of very often, but even that southern loop, turn number 2, they're all wide, flowing corners, and everything flows into the next. So as you head down the Gardner Straight down to Doohan Corner, turn number 1, you've got to be pretty careful, actually, in these cars. We'll see a little bit of braking into that first corner. Downforce cars, think Indy cars, Formula One, even prototypes, they don't usually have to brake into turn 1, maybe a light lift, but these guys will be braking in these Porsche Cup cars this evening. The southern loop, same thing, and you know what, turn 2 is so tricky here at Phillip Island, because you think that you're going to be able to carry speed around that wide corner, that wide radius corner, but you just can't. The track falls away from you around that corner. You've got to make sure you will yourself down and get the car turned in and get a late apex if you can. You can take 2 apexes if you need, an early and a late, but you want to make sure you can try and get a late apex to head down to Stoner Corner, turn number 3, as quickly as possible. 2, 3, they're tricky, and of course, it continues on. Turn 4, Honda Corner, also very tricky. It's a bit of a hairpin, and it can definitely catch you out, but it can also be a passing opportunity, as we saw a couple of seasons ago here with NARL in GT3 cars. Turn 5, not really a corner, but we've already talked a little bit about turn 6, JP. It's kind of a wide hairpin, almost an open hairpin, if you will. It has the same characteristics, but it also feels like a sweeper, and you've got to maximize corner exit speed. So again, it's one of those sweeping kind of corners that you've got to be so careful about.
Absolutely, because on the exit, you get quite a, I guess, a corner straight, you can say, turn 7 and turn 8, maybe a slight lift for these guys in the first few laps as the tires get up to temperature in turn 8. Then obviously you head into turn 9, lucky heights, and then obviously there you're going to have to, again, Andrew, get a bit of those late apexes, trying to get yourself, in the apex to make sure you're lined up correctly for turn 10. Obviously, a hairpin. If you don't get the correct line over there, you're going to be losing a bunch of time as you exit out of 10 into turn 11 and then into the fast left-hander that is turn 12. And then, well, you get to do it all over again as you, I guess, see the beautiful sights and obviously enter the nice little sunrise that we have here on the Gardner Straight.
For reference, as far as lap times today, these guys are currently lapping just slightly quicker than V8 Supercars. When Scott McLaughlin ran the lap record here for V8 Supercars in 2019, it was a 130.992. These guys currently, Kevin Simpson in practice is down to a 129.371, and the slowest car on track so far is at a 132.245. So definitely quite quick, right around those V8 Supercars times, and just a little ways off of GT sports cars, as you can see some of those lap records there on the left side. But you know what? They're very close to MotoGP as well, which is very fascinating, I think. Very, very close to that GP time set by Marc Marquez in 2013. But enough about the track. Let's talk about point standings coming into this evening. Of course, we start the evening off, as usual, with amateur racing. That's what's on track now as practice wraps up. Let's take a look at your points for the amateur class. Drew Swank, now the point leader, but you can see Bobby Flack, Kevin Simpson, guys we've been talking about all season. Well, I say all season, the first 2 weeks of the season so far, sitting only 2 points back, JP. It's a very, very tight top 6, 7, even 8 drivers in this series, only 11 points separating those 8. Everybody's close together, and we've seen a lot of big switches already in these first few weeks, so I think we're going to see a lot more this evening. I mean, you have 4 within just 3 points. Drew Swank, Bobby Flack, Kevin Simpson, Chase Wilson right there. Those are easily your 4 best amateur drivers right now. I think you can maybe lump Ronaldo Carlos into that group as well, but those are the guys that are fast.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, a lot of things could change here today, as they have changed between round 1 and 2, so I do expect us to see a little bit more separation maybe between the leaders. Obviously, Drew is going to have quite a bit of a challenge to maintain that gap, and when we look towards the Pro and Pro-Am championship, Andrew, it's quite close, especially if you look at the gap between first and I guess you can say 6 on the Pro-Am side, only 7 points, but the leaders are tied up. That's going to be an amazing race to watch here tonight.
Yeah, Dino Phillip on the pro side, only 2-point gap back to Ricardo Rico. I think these guys we really have to watch this evening. And I think you're going to want to watch for some, I think, deeper guys in this field. Think of guys like Lawrence Zavadil, especially Matthew Dench in 7th in the pro standings, Bryce Rodriguez, even Fabio Zamperlini. Guys like those guys, right at the back end of the top 10, I think, are going to have an opportunity, whether they take it or not, we'll see. But this is a big opportunity for them to make up much-needed points going into round number 3 and getting close to wrapping up the first half of the season. And you mentioned it, on the amateur side, Ryan Kerr, Wayne Castile tied. Mitchell Johnson only 1 point back. Again, we have a top 4 separated by only 3 points with Lowy Santi in that 4th spot. Only 3 points back. Agustin Castro, Damon Duckworth close as well. And you can see Trey Drawhorn, who won last week in Pro-Am, is already into your top 9 here in the amateur standings. So a lot's gone on, or Pro-Am standings rather, a lot's gone on over here already, and a lot is going to continue going on as we progress into the season. Of course, this round number 3, as we've mentioned a couple of times, let's go ahead and bring up actually your schedule Here we go. July 7th, 2022. Silverstone next week up in Great Britain. Then Montreal in Canada, Indianapolis, and of course Indiana, and Suzuka in Japan, and Bathurst right back here in Australia to wrap up the season. So a month away, we're wrapping up this season right back here in Australia. A good way to do things here. Cars on track for qualifying. You can see we are in sunrise conditions, as I mentioned, and this is one of the most scenic places to race, especially in sunrise conditions. The sun rises up over the water. Let's go ahead and check out our track temp to see. In the air, 63.9 degrees. The track, add 1/10 of a degree, and you've got the track temp. But look at those winds, JP. Nearly 20 miles an hour. It almost feels like we're back in BSR.
Yeah, absolutely. Those high winds, low track temperatures could prove interesting into the high-speed corners. I feel like if we were racing the prototypes, Le Mans, even Formula 1, as you alluded on the track map, this could have been way more tricky for the drivers, but I'm sure 20 mile an hour winds. Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. The trees are going to be blowing, hopefully some leaves into the racetrack so we can have some nice action, but should be interesting to see if any cars suffer with those high winds, but so far it looks like it's calming down a little bit.
So as we transition over to on-track coverage, let's take a look at our current pole sitter as qualifying gets underway here for the first time today. Kevin Simpson, fastest of the bunch so far in car 606, and I think we're going to be saying that name a lot this season. Milan Harris, currently the second quickest car on track, just... Look at that, just about a half-tenth back of Simpson. No, there we go, Stacey Bertrand, 5/1000ths of a second off the pole.
Nice, extremely close margins, Andrew. That's something we didn't see at Texas last couple weeks ago, did we? We saw quite a bit of separation. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Two guys within the same tenth of a second, and the rest of the field as well, quite close to one another. Not a lot of room for error. This is pushing the drivers to their absolute max, which, well, I absolutely love it, Andrew. I'm pretty sure I can say it to you as well. Seeing those tiny margins definitely gets us happy and excited for the race.
And these drivers will have to deal with sun, as you saw a little bit. Let's go back on board here with Bertrand as she heads through turn 6. That sun is going to be a problem for some drivers, especially those running in VR that are able to use the HDR modeling. That would take a lot to compute, so I don't know that we're going to have too many of those, but I still think VR users are going to have some trouble facing that sun as the sun rises here at virtual Phillip Island. Milan Harris, quick in qualifying, goes up to the top of the board. Kevin Simpson now back into second. Stacey Bertrand third, and Bobby Flack up into the top 4, going fourth quick ahead of Ilya Speaker, Scott Angelo, Matthew O'Leary, John Kroon, Brandon Louvier, and Teague Ashburn checking into the top 10 so far this evening. We are at a slightly lower car count. From what I've noticed tonight, we're down to, 28 cars, it looks like, including that of Wyatt Brackett that we see on Sundays in the MPI Cup Series. And he's got a lot to think about, JP. Wyatt, as I just mentioned, a full-time driver in another series we cover on this channel. In fact, on ovals in NASCAR stock cars. So this is a very different change for him. Granted, he's got some recent road racing experience, running Road America most recently with NASCAR stock cars in the MPI Cup Series, but this is still a big change for him and Mario Miranda. I don't see Mario's name jumping out at me on the ticker right now, but I know that at least Wyatt's here, as it looks like he's not going to get a lap in just yet. And, I mean, this is a big change. He's thinking about Atlanta later this weekend, trying to get Phillip Island down here tonight. There's a lot for these drivers, and I think that speaks volumes as to what these drivers do in general. These guys are never exclusively, well, maybe not always never exclusively, but usually not exclusively racing in NARL. They usually have other leagues and other official series they run throughout the week. These guys spread around, and they have to focus on a lot of tracks. So for them to devote time to practice for Phillip Island this week, it means a lot, and you're seeing some of these guys paying off.
Not only that, but also, devoting your time sometimes to 2 cars, like 2 road racing cars is absolutely a change and a half if these guys were driving GT cars, but let alone jumping into from a Porsche GT Cup car to, a NASCAR. They're quite different in my knowledge. I don't know much about NASCAR, but I don't think they have that much downforce as a Porsche, but yeah, it's amazing to see, the complexity that some drivers have to go through, dedicating time to run ovals in the NASCAR Cup cars and then to the Porsches here in the NARL League. So it's absolutely amazing. We're going to have to wait and see how Wyatt excels on both tracks. So not only here at Phillip Island, but also in Atlanta. But yeah, it gets me excited, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be happy running those two different cars. I'm pretty sure both that have their highs and lows, I guess.
Here we go, Travis Watt on track. A new name. I don't think we've said that name very much, and you see the Grid by SimLab logos there on the side of the car. And car 09 is in the top 10 here in qualifying and is on his final timed lap, so he can go faster if he links these corners together just right. He's in turn 4, it looks like, yes, so he's still very early on in this lap, only 40 seconds in, JP. Plenty of time for him to make up or lose, and that was a rough entry there through 6, washed out, but gets a good apex off, and really, that's what you need. You need to maximize corner exit speed here at Phillip Island to get back up out of these lengthy, they're not so much straights, but they act like straights. We'll call them on-throttle sections, I suppose.
Yeah, there you go. I guess that's a better term. But obviously, you have to focus on the exits. I guess the racing term goes slow in, fast out, which is absolutely what these guys have to do. Sometimes it's good to get, fast in, fast out, Andrew, but that's not, I think, possible in any race car. And currently, Watt only has to improve 1/1000th of a second to jump up to 9th place, as he has the exact same time to the 1,000 as Kroom just ahead of him. Now, as he exits turn 12, flat out on the gas, can he improve a 130.2? And no,
not
just
quite.
Barely.
0.2 off. Brennan Louvier also on track. It looks like he has already gone through his allotted amount of laps, but he's still on track, getting a few laps in and just getting a little bit of extra practice in. And we talk about this a lot, JP. This is valuable for drivers. If you have the ability to keep going, go for it. Keep running laps. See how these tires are going to change. See how the fuel is going to burn off and how the car is going to change in the opening laps here for your race. This is always very smart when we see drivers doing this. And I always very much appreciate the effort. I know there's plenty of time throughout the week leading up to the race and even race day to practice, but you can never practice too much.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no such thing as too much practice, and the 888 is doing exactly that. Just getting used to the car. Once again, practice. You can put thousands and thousands of hours, but it's still always good to get a few extra laps in to make sure everything is tuned up. Your setup is working fine, your hardware is working fine as well, and he's currently doing so. Coming across the line, keeping those times quite consistent, Andrew, when you compare to the best lap times, which is also extremely important as you head into a 30-minute race.
Yeah, he's only about a second off of pole. You can see 9/10 there for his fastest lap, which is really not bad considering what these guys are trying to achieve. A 1:29 around here on a Porsche Cup car is no easy feat, so for anybody to be even a second and a half within that, which encompasses most of the field, that's a pretty stellar qualifying run, I think, just to be in that kind of zone of guys like Milan Harris going out and putting car on pole. So speaking of pole, Milan Harris putting his car on pole this evening in car 69, and alongside, over his left shoulder, you'll see the second place starter, that is Kevin Simpson, in car number 606. So a pretty interesting view at your front row. Starting from third this evening, you'll find Stacey Bertrand, teammate to Milan Harris, and Bobby Flack will roll off from the fourth position tonight in car 88. Starting in the fifth spot, you will find Scott Angelo in car 68 for Team Maradness and Quantum Pain. Starting sixth, you'll find car 06 in Ilya Speaker. To wrap up your top 10, you've got Chase Wilson, one of your top drivers in the series, then Matthew O'Leary in the 18. John Kroom starts 9th and Travis Watt 10th.
11th place goes the way of Devin Brock. Alongside of him, the 888 of Brendan Louvier. On row number 7, Andrew, on the inside line, we're going to have the number 180 of Teague Ashburn, and alongside him, Billy Bowerman in 14th place. 15th place on the inside lane, we're going to have David Stevenson, the number 55, and the number 77, of Diego Eri in 16th place on the outside. Row number 9, we're going to have Armando Bejarran in the 05, and the number 78 of Joshua Benjamin alongside him in 18th. It looks like that's all we have time for.
That is all we have time for. Waiting on the green lights here for race number 1 on the evening. The amateur drivers are off and away at Phillip Island. Let's go racing for 30 minutes. Already you can see some trouble off the start. That is no stranger to Phillip Island, unfortunately. And we'll see if we can recap that here at the back end of lap 1. But our leaders down to turn 2 already. The southern loop is getting populated and populated quick. Look at these guys, 2, 3 wide.
That is amazing confidence this early on. You can see how much they trust.
Some contact, yep.
A slight bit of contact on the apex of 2. Looks like everybody's still pointing somehow to
I believe that was
the
Nagy
same
and
direction.
Ashburn.
Oh, unfortunate for them, you can see it also, Andrew, still 2 and 3 wide back then, and now as we head into turn number 4, Honda corner, looks like everybody's making it through, and you can see a bit of separation from, looks like the top 8 from the rest of the grid.
A good look here at everybody winding around this Phillip Island circuit. Here we go. Into the back end of the circuit now at a turn 6, 7, and through turn 8. Very fast, almost entirely on throttle here, depending on traffic. And you can see more cars in trouble in the distance. Sully Sad, for example, turned around at a turn 6. Oh, look at the mayhem back here. Scott Angelo, Armando Bejar, more cars turned around, including Kerry Corcoran. And oh, we're backing up onto the circuit. Be careful! My goodness. Teague Ashburn, Code Brown there.
Absolutely, Code Brown. He's going to have to go to the pit stops and get a change of underwear after that one, Andrew, as looks like the cars are heading out of turn number 12 and finishing up the first lap, are they? Yes, they are. You can see there the leader a good few tenths of a second ahead of second place. That's going to be a safe margin. You can see there nearly 6 tenths of a second as we have, looks like one car serving a slowdown penalty, but looks like he's going to get that sorted out. One car into the pits and looks like he's going to be out already of the race.
Yeah, that's John Kroom already in the pit lane. Other drivers involved heavily on lap 1 include Armando Bejar, Kerry Corcoran, Sully Sad, Joshua Benjamin, Teague Ashburn, Scott Angelo, and more. A few more cars come across the start-finish line. Let's go ahead and go back and review what we can of lap number 1. Already a lot of mayhem, and I can't say I'm entirely surprised just because of how Phillip Island sometimes goes, but definitely surprised to see that many incidents, I think. Never entirely surprised to see lap 1 incidents in some regard, but that many, that was a lot.
Yeah, there were quite a few incidents over there that I guess, just the nature of the track injury is going to push some drivers within one another. Now we're taking a look at the race start, and you can see there the leader got a perfect start. Oh, wow. Wow, indeed. Oh, I'm actually speechless. We haven't seen that one in ever, I think.
I'm not entirely sure who that was. I think it might have been the 18. Let's watch this one more time. What? This is what transpires here on the start. And oh man.
I think he got a good jump on third place and tried to go into the left. Oh, and you can see more carnage up ahead.
That was Scott Angelo off the start. Had a big problem. Let's watch this one more time and try and diagnose a little more of this and see in the first place what happened to Scott Angelo. So we'll start out in his in-car. And
I think what happened, you're going to see a good jump from third place, and I think he's just going to try to avoid him, and he's just going to end up spinning the tire. Yeah, you can see a good launch, and then just dropped it.
And drivers go off into the grass to try and miss that, and that's a terrible idea, I got to be honest. That's how you have incidents that we had. Drivers going off track, you go out there, I think trying to avoid things, but you go off into the grass, you're going to lose traction. Just don't know about that. Oh, man.
And obviously, not only that, when you go into the grass, eventually you're going to have to get back on the racing course, and you can see there a bit more contact, and they're just parked on the apex. So, a tricky and interesting, and I guess heavily instant lap number 1, Andrew.
Now, a few things have changed up towards the front. Joe Nagy, Teague Ashburn, they've had some more trouble, including Matthew O'Leary. Matthew's now down to the 22nd spot. So let's get that ticker back up on screen. Here's the battle, though, for second place. Second, third, and fourth, really under a blanket, right behind your race leader. Milan Harris still leading as we're 4.5 minutes in. Simpson, Flack, and Bertrand are the next 3. Wilson completing a top 5. It's good to see Stacey Bertrand in this position, JP, and I'll knock on wood for her. I really don't want to jinx her in this situation. But 5 minutes in, she has avoided lap 1 trouble this week. That's good, especially after the way Okayama started for her. And oh, look at that. She goes purple at 129.7. She's had some rough troubles getting this season started. This is a good start to race number 3 for the Rockefeller Racing driver.
Absolutely, and sometimes you need that good start just to, I guess, kick off your season once again, just get a good string of results and get some strong performances to make sure you excel in that championship. Look at that sun, Andrew. If you're running in VR, you're going to need some sunglasses between the goggles in your eyes because that's going to be absolutely blinding. But you can see here the gap between the top 5, the top 4 actually, it's extremely close. Things have really tightened up, but the question is, Andrew, just like we had in the previous seasons, it's just when and how brave do you have to be to get an overtake on this course?
Problems here for Armando Bejar. You can see him in the pit lane now. Obviously, something has forced him there. And that's not where a car wants to be during a race. Here we go, some battles deep in the field. Billy Bowerman here racing with Michael Clark. This is for 11th. That was close as they round turn number 8 now. At least I think that's turn 8. This might be turn 8, actually. Yeah, this is turn 8. This is up to Lukey Heights. Up over turn 9. This is always pretty scary. And, oh boy, that was a little bit scary for some of these guys. But Bowerman back to the inside, going to make that pass. And look at these guys behind him, Ronaldo Carlos and Phillip.
Yeah, those two made a small mistake, and you can see up ahead they were still side by side, and you're pretty sure they went side by side for a whole sector, which was amazing to see. And you saw that Ronaldo Carlos just behind them, a big lockup actually, but I think he got that position up into 13th place. But yeah, these two had an amazing scrap side by side, and I don't think it might be over just yet.
Watching from Bowerman's perspective, looking back at Matthew Clark, and you can see now in the background Phillip starting to fall off. But Ronaldo Carlos, he's got a piece underneath him right now. P13, he's got a ways to go. And, had a great round 1, had a great season opener at Okayama, but now trying to right his season after a rough go at Coda. Lost the points lead. And now battling for the 12th position here with Michael Clark. Clark blinking, not going to be his friend, but we'll see what he's able to do with it.
Yeah, that's going to be really upsetting, I guess, for the number 22. He's not going to be too happy about it because that really gets in your way. But yeah, as you mentioned, Ronaldo, I think he won actually round number 1, if I'm not mistaken. And then Texas, I think, Andrew, I guess we can say he had good pace, but just misfortune and mistakes on his own part really set him back. And obviously, as you mentioned, lost the championship lead. So he's looking to get, that back. Qualifying, it didn't go his way as well. He's currently trying to get those positions back, but so far in the first few laps, as you can see, I started 27, so I don't even think he qualified. He may have a quali ban, but he's up 14 positions already, Andrew.
Let's go back to our leaders because they're getting tight here onto the front stretch. Simpson moving left, right, trying to find a way by. Oh, here we go. A move to the inside.
There you go, down the inside of turn number 1. I wonder if Milan Harris is going to try to hold it. Not quite. Maybe trying to get a good exit. No, he's just going to be losing that position for the time being. Bobby Flack, the number 88, you can see here from his own board, trying to get a piece of that action, but couldn't really capitalize on Milan going a bit slow through turn number 1. But yeah, you can see there, Andrew, top 4, head to tail. This is interesting already, and I'm pretty sure this is going to get even more interesting as Milan Harris now once away, passing. Oh, look at Stacy looking down the inside. Not quite lock up from Bobby Flack, but they all keep pointing in the same direction.
Behind Chase Wilson and Brendan Louvier. Here we go. Contact. That pushes Wilson off of the course. Louvier takes into the top 5. Here comes Water on the outside. Watt's going to have to check up. Wow, that was exciting there through turn 4. Back to our race leaders as we've had our first lead change of the day. Simpson, as you saw, took the point from Milan Harris on the front stretch. Now Milan trying to get that spot back. I think a lot of our passes today, JP, are going to happen at a turn 1. You're going to have to maximize turn 12, of course. And oh, that was aggressive to turn 10. Milan Harris, bit of lockup, dove into the corner. But this is where it's going to be money for Milan or Bobby Flack. I'm not sure which one. Is Milan going to be able to make this pass? I don't think so. I think Bobby Flack is going to have a better shot here.
Yeah, I think so, Andrew. Bobby was keeping up with Kevin Simpson, and so was Stacy, and looks like Milan just doesn't have the pace in this moment. You can see he's not even defending down into turn number 1. Now it's going to be Bobby Flack, so Milan Harris in 2 laps, he loses 2 positions down into turn number 1, so the pace has really gone away on the number 96 machine, and he's not going to be too happy about it. Unfortunately for him, Stacy Bertrand just behind him, well, she had the same pace as the 2 guys that just passed him, Andrew. This is worrying for Milan Harris.
That's really rare to see out of a pole sitter, rather. For Milan Harris to put the car on pole, lead 5 laps in the opening, and then just drop back 2 positions in 2 laps. This is really, really incredibly rare here in the North American Racing League. Usually pole sitters either lead the entire race, finish second, as maybe a slowdown there. Gets the second place back. I mean, no complaints, but okay. Regardless, it's rare to see a pole sitter struggle like this here in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so, so weird to see, just dropping back, like no pace. As you can see there, number 3, parking the car, Timothy, well, some sort of issues. And he's going to be, looks like another a retired car, I guess I can say, on this track. And you can see the number 52 now right here. Once again, now she's facing the back of Bobby Flack's car, and Bobby now needs to shake up, I guess, that mistake that he had down into turn number 4, Andrew. And Milan Harris really needs to find the pace sooner or later, otherwise he's just going to be dropping like a fly.
Shout out to our partners here with the North American Racing League, of course, Virtual Racing School, Maradness Driver Coaching, TAM Livery, and JS Consulting, doing so much for this league week in, week out. Our own partners here at Pit Stop TV, including Whiplash Media SimCams, SimRapMarket.com, and permanent makeup at Cryo in Maine as Stacy Bertrand goes off the course in turn 2. I told you, JP, maximizing the exit of 2 is going to be so important, but you cannot go off track. It's so easy to get lured into an off track there and go way out in the dirt, and Stacy's just trying to find a way back onto the course. Oh, man. Oh, that's close. It's Billy Barriman approaching and now passing for the 10th position. And I knocked on wood, but apparently it wasn't enough, JP. I still jinxed Stacy, it looks like. Was talking about the incredible start she put on there in the first 5-10 minutes, and now 12 minutes in. Unfortunately, problems.
Yeah, unfortunately did not go her way. She still has 18 minutes to climb back a few positions. I guess we could say, Andrew, she was well in a fight for second place at one time. You know, if she could catch Simpson, maybe in a fight for first, but right now it's going to be a fight for, you know, a few extra points at the end of the day. But we know that the pace is still there in the number 52, so I think we should expect quite a few moves from her. And you can see already a puff of smoke from the driver ahead. You know, it's just putting her head down, you know, making sure that mistake doesn't happen again and getting those places back.
Let's talk about what's happening a couple of cars ahead of her. Chris Sanchez, we've talked a lot about him in the opening couple of rounds. Car number 5 was great last week at Circuit of the Americas, if I remember correctly. Well, 2 weeks ago, rather, winning race number 2 on the season. A fantastic drive so far this season out of car 5, putting himself in the top 3 in points. But it's a lackluster start to round 3, JP. Position number 9 currently after starting 20th, chasing down Devin Brock. And admittedly, to be up 11 positions right now is impressive, but it's still lackluster compared to what he needs in points.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this might be one of those, I guess, one of those races, Andrew, which, you know, just doesn't click. Maybe the track doesn't click.
Whoa.
But those cars almost clicked, but luckily they didn't. But yeah, Chris Sanchez needs, you know, a good performance to make sure, you know, he's at least consistent on points. You know, you don't need to win each and every single race, even though that would really help your championship. But, you know, you just need to make sure you get those consistent points. You know, just make sure they're all similar across the board. And so far he's in 9th place, Andrew, but I think we are expecting quite a bit of better result from the number 5.
Stacy Bertrand here battling once again with Billy Barriman. Here we go. Very close for 10th position. Stacy wants to get back into the top 10. Contact there. I think Billy moved over a little bit into corner entry. That moves Stacy offline and allows Ronaldo Carlos to make up a little bit of time. Ronaldo getting closer now in the 12th position. And we've got a lot more going on behind them. Diego Era off course. And Michael Clark, some trouble as well. There's Diego. That is not where oh my goodness. That car is destroyed.
Wow. Yeah, that car is going straight back to the pit lane, Andrew. Wow, I don't even know where you can get that much damage around this racetrack, you know.
Well, turn 10 is one of the few places you're going to do it.
Yeah, looks like, unfortunately for Diego, he found that one place, I guess.
Oh, wow.
This is possible.
This is going to be a rough one to see for Diego. Well, just watch this through, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. Just watch Diego Era, and wow.
Oh, no. Oh.
Michael Clark in contact with, I believe, Scott Angelo. Gets sent deep into turn 10 and just wipes the 77 out. Let's watch this from a couple more angles. This is going to be really tough for Diego to swallow. He had just passed these guys. He had just gotten clear of them and had moved away. And unfortunately, this is going to be a really serious incident for Diego, and I think one that the admins, the stewards will definitely have to take a look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Diego, no fault of his own, just doing his own race, and you can see there, just one car loses control in the braking. He locks up. He cannot even try to avoid that injury. I don't think he can even see the car, and unfortunately for him, that could be terminal damage. Really, really unfortunate if you're Diego Era.
Let's watch this from, well, still one of the TV cameras, but you'll be able to see the contact here. Scott Angelo just deep into the corner. He's trying to make up all he can after the mistake he made on the start that cost a lot of drivers their races, and unfortunately sends Clark into error there. And I mean, Unfortunately, it's part of racing the midfield. You have those mistakes, especially guys that are trying to make up a lot of points, make up a lot from the start of the race. That will unfortunately happen on occasion. There has been a bit more going on. Matthew O'Leary has recently had some issues. We'll try and recap this quickly. I'm not sure entirely what's happened to O'Leary. I see that he's been off track recently, so let's go ahead and see this and try and get an idea of what's going on. So this is the 18, Matthew O'Leary, one of the Muradness cars, the M Squad cars. I see a lot of you guys out in the YouTube chat. Wide out of 12.
He just clipped the curb on the inside of turn 12. That kind of shot the car a little bit up, made him lose a bit of contact. Luckily, no damage. But yeah, just a small mistake, just that, just small turn in. And unfortunately, he went a bit wide. But luckily, Andrew, as I mentioned, no damage for him.
Let's go to our closest battle now in the top 10 as we come back to live picture. Travis Watt chasing down Chris Sanchez. No, now a position battle here. Chase Wilson and Brandon Louvier. I think Louvier might have had a mistake right there because they were not this close moments ago when I was looking through battles to go to. But now Wilson back up into fourth. This is going to be a good one. Louvier now with the draft in the front stretch. What can he do for turn one?
Oh, he goes a bit wide on the exit. He's going to clip that grass, but he still gets a good run. He's going to be looking to the inside. Now the outside is going to have to be brave. Can he outbrake the number 13? They almost touch on their braking. The number 13, Wilson, gets the inside line. Can Louvier do anything on exit? Not quite. Maybe pressure into a mistake on turn 2. Not quite, Andrew, but an amazing battle is emerging right here. And don't think the Triple H is going to be too happy about giving up his 4th place.
Absolutely not. He's going to want to go get that spot back. Fair enough, he may have been gifted it by the issues for Stacy Bertrand, but you never want to lose positions. So that's part of it, part of racing as well, to outlast other drivers who make mistakes and get those positions that way. That's very, very important in car racing. Just behind these guys, Chris Sanchez, Travis Watt. I think one car blinking is Matthew Clark in between those couple of battles that we're looking at. So that's a lap car that Sanchez, Watt, Brock, and more will have to deal with soon. And it's worth mentioning, Stacy Bertrand now into the top 10, having cleared David Stevenson and Billy Barrowman, who is now doing his best to battle here with Stevenson. A good little battle here for the 10th position.
Yeah, absolutely. And those two gets to battle. You can see the 2 other cars behind him are going to be catching up as well. So these guys have to be aware of Ronaldo and Phillip Bederka right behind them. So keep an eye out for that little battle for the top 10. And you can see there, this up ahead, Bobby Fleck now still chasing down Milan Harris, who's weaving, trying to break the slipstream, I guess. But you can see here, he's still very, very powerful. Bobby just catching up slowly but surely, but not close enough, anywhere near close enough, actually, to make a move down into turn number 1. Quite a few corrections over there, but Andrew, he's still applying that pressure to the number 96 ahead.
And I'll correct myself. It was Milan Harris that won last week. As he's defending here for 2nd place, and I appreciate you calling me out in DMs anyways, as here we go, side by side between Bobby Flank and Milan Harris, last week's winner. Milan gives that spot up easily, but for some reason I recalled Chris Sanchez having a stellar run at COTA. Apparently not. At least not a stellar result. For some reason, though, I recall Car 5 being one of the cars to beat, and admittedly, I didn't have a chance to refresh myself today on COTA from 2 weeks ago, but I know Car 5 has got a lot of speed. I know he's one of the drivers we've got to watch for this season, as these are the other drivers I think we have to watch for this season that are not already in the top 3. Wilson, Louvier, very close there through 6 rather. Now through turn 8, we'll go up to Lukey Heights. And this is where things get tricky.
You can see, you just have to brake while you're, turning in the car. That is going to induce understeer. You really have to manage the throttle, the brake, to turn in. And you can see here, Breder just trying to apply pressure. He gets a better run out of 10, and you gets quite close, but turn 11, he has to slow down a little bit. You can see there, Wilson gets a bit of better run. Now, as we head into 12, both of them just pretty much just nailing the apex. And you can see right here, it's not going to be close enough. The slipstream is going to allow Louvier to kind of just close in a little bit, but not too much down into turn number 1. But the pressure is very much on Andrew, and Wilson is like a sponge, just soaking it all in and not letting anything out. Ooh, that was close.
That was close on the exit of 1, now through 2. You can see how the flow is messed up now for Brandon Louvier. He does get a good exit out of turn 2, but it was rough there up through center, and I think he lost just a little bit of ground and gained it right back. So he's got to be careful. and it seems like his flow is just a little bit off from where it needs to be. He's a little slow at a turn 12 each time. As we continue to ride on board with him here, let's go to our telemetry graphic and see exactly what he's doing with the car. You can kind of see the gear shifts, the gear changes, the speed as he dives down to the inside of 6 up on that curbing. But you know what, JP? That curbing, yeah, it's nice to get down there. It's satisfying to hit curbing at any apex, but sometimes you don't want to, and I feel like that curbing at 6 actually works against you really everywhere here at Phillip Island. Oh! Whoa!
Oh, no.
Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Chase Wilson's destroyed out of that one. And what just happened?
I don't know. I'm lost. I'm lost. Was that in turn 6? Because one driver broke and the other one, well, didn't. As simple as that. You can see here, Wilson, he's going to brake for really heavily, and I'm not quite sure what's going on in Louvier's head. But yeah, that's the end of the race for the 13.
I'm pretty certain you have to brake there. I was testing earlier in an IndyCar. Getting some laps here myself, and I had to brake for turn 9 like that in an IndyCar. That was on medium downforce. I know it's not high downforce, but or low down, but I'm pretty sure you have to brake there in these Porsche Cup cars, and Brandon just didn't. Unfortunately, that takes out Chase Wilson. I am befuddled by that, if you will, flabbergasted even. And that's just incredibly unfortunate to see inside of the top 5. Definitely, I mean, don't get us wrong, definitely not by intent from Brandon, but really bizarre nonetheless, and a big mistake, and one that very well may garner him a penalty. Car-to-car contact is taken very seriously here in the North American Racing League. Driving standards are a must, and stuff like that, unfortunately, will get you penalized. Here's a battle for second, though. Bobby Flack, Milan Harris. Flack has gone on through, as we saw a few laps ago. Also worth noting in the top 10, let's go down to Travis Watt and Chris Sanchez. Good little battle here for 5th. Problems with Devin Brock.
Absolutely. Oh, the number 12 looks like that's on turn 10 or turn 4.
10, yeah.
And 10, so yeah, you can see there he drops a few positions, looks like, but he's still in 13th, looks like. No, he dropped even a few more, but you can see here, Watt just on the main straightaway. But yeah, quite a few things have already emerged. This is a battle for 5th place, as you mentioned, between him and Sanchez. But yeah, everybody got gifted a free position, and this should make a few battles even more exciting, as now Louvier is gonna, with that damage, Andrew, he's gonna be losing quite a bit of performance.
Yeah, Sanchez now getting close to the 888. So we've got a lot to watch for here in these 3 cars, in these 3 positions, and one of these drivers, at least, will be left out of the top 5, and Bertrand could catch these guys. Bertrand's not far back, so it's going to be a very exciting battle in the mid-top 10, as Ronaldo Carlos and David Stevenson battle. That was close. Carlos gets the position. That is good for 8th, as Stevenson drops into 9th, brocking onto a top 10. Bedurka and Barrowman battle. There we go. Bedurka to the inside in turn 4. Barrowman off track and spins.
Barrowman is just dropping. He was in the top 10 a few laps ago, Andrew. Now you can see mistakes are getting the best of him, and you can see he's going to drop
bracket
14th. No, not quite. 13th for the time being. So, yeah, now the number 33 is in an optimal position to get that position once again, and you can see there the damage to the front end of the 888 you saw there. That's going to be costing him a few miles an hour at the end of the straightaway, but also some downforce points, as you can see there, a bit bented up. And yeah, he's going to be on the back foot, Andrew. And this is all going to promote everyone to essentially a top 4 battle. Sanchez, Watt, Bertram, and even Ronaldo Carlos, maybe.
Louvier fighting through some aero damage. I don't think it's going to affect him too bad. Really, the only top speed area on this track is into turn 1. Granted, that is the best passing opportunity here at Phillip Island, so we'll see how that develops for him. As you can see, Sanchez, Watt now breathing down his neck. Bertrand not far behind. Ronaldo Carlos dealing with Stevenson. That's not over, as here we go. Turn 4 for these guys.
And you can see here, Andrew, only 5 minutes left. Now Milan has absolutely, Brendan has absolutely no other option than just, I guess, to park the bus. He just has to hold on for dear life. But you can see there, Sanchez and Watt, they're getting closer and closer. So, I mean, I don't think this is a position, he's in a position to pretty much just give it up, just don't battle them to make sure he finishes the race. I'm pretty sure he's going to be needing all the positions he can.
On board now with Travis Watt out of Pennsylvania. Good look here at Chris Sanchez and Brendan Louvier. Louvier wide in 10. Maybe he's struggling with a bit of front downforce. That's definitely a possibility. It's not often seen in iRacing to have a little bit of front bumper damage and, basically in a non-winged car to have front downforce loss from front end damage, because you are creating drag, so it does technically add, I guess, a little bit of downforce, but I think he's having some issues now, as Louvier is definitely going to have a mirror full, and there we go, a right mirror full, as Sanchez goes to the inside.
Yeah, just absolutely no option to fight right there, and you saw a bit of the top speed, downside, and you can see he's trying to fight back, but it's not going to be good enough. I don't think he has a car under him, and you can see there Watt just trying to get any sort of opportunity he can to make sure he sneaks past Louvier as quickly as possible to be within that shot of fighting Sanchez. And you can see there the Triple H once again catching up now into the braking zone of turn 4, and he's not going to be too close enough, I guess you can say, to fight back. And you can see there, Andrew, Stacy's closing up as well.
Yep, Stacy Bertrand now in this 4-car line. Ahead of these guys, Milan Harris, Bobby Flack, here we go, through turn 8, now through turn 9. Up Lukey Heights, this is for second. Simpson has taken off as we've got a problem. Louvier might have just been side by side for a moment with Sanchez. We've got a lot to talk about in this top 10. We've got battles throughout the entirety of the top 10. Aside from our race leader, here we go for second, Flack and Harris.
So interesting that Harris somehow is keeping up with Flack. He just pretty much let him go a handful of laps ago. Right now, he's keeping up with pace. So, not quite sure what the strategy was for the number 96. Andrew, I'm not pretty sure if he's, thinking about it, his decision right now. But you can see he's very close to Bobby Flack, not close enough down into turn number 1. Now, these guys, will we see a switch up for position? You can see there Brandon, really closing up to Sanchez. Can he put something down into turn number 1? He's going to think about it. He's going to put the car to the inside, but not close enough.
Some attempts there to turn 1, but no dice. We are officially at 2 laps to go. The last time by the start-finish line. Another battle in the top 10. Ronaldo Carlos, David Stevenson here as they work now through turn number 2. Let's not forget that Wyatt Brackett is putting some pressure now on Billy Barrowman after an issue recently in turn 4. Brackett wants that 13th position. We'll see if he can get it. And Joe Nagy and Ilya Speaker are battling back here. 2 teammates and 2 pretty darn good drivers in these Porsche Cup cars, just having off days, especially Ilya Speaker down here 16th, 17th. Speaker up the inside, and after qualifying 6th, Ilya is now into 16th.
Yeah, so...
and there was a problem this lap for Milan Harris.
Oh.
Look at the gap. He's now 5 seconds back of Bobby Flack.
Oh, yeah, really dropped back, Andrew. So that battle for second place, I guess we can say that is done and dusted now. And, unfortunately, what could have been a fight back for second place, now it's definitely over. We're going to take a look at exactly what happened.
Went wide.
Oh, no. Oh, and just, getting it back once you hit the grass. And luckily for him, he slows down, doesn't lock up, and just gets it back on the tarmac.
We have taken the white flag now, presented by Whiplash SimCams. It's not displayed yet officially on timing and scoring, but it will be in a moment as Kevin Simpson works through the front end of the circuit out of turn number 2. Gets to take one last look at the cliffs and the water off to his right, now through turn 3. We'll head down to turn number 4. This is his final lap. The first battle of the top 10 going to be Chris Sanchez, Brandon Louvier. This is not over.
Yeah, this is definitely not over. You can see there's a bit of a gap between Louvier and Sanchez, but you can see there Watt really closing in. Andrew, this is going to be his final opportunity. Just a few handful of really, braking corners that he can really go for a move, but he's really going to have to apply the maximum amount of pressure if he wants a shot at that 5th place finish. And Louvier, well, he's just going to have to, soak in all that pressure. But looks like a good run from him out of turn 6, looks like. And this battle right here is definitely not over as well for 8th place.
Carlos and Stevenson really putting some pressure on here. Has a great run. He's looking now to the left side as, there we go, officially the white flag presented by Whiplash SimCams. Cars 22 and 55 are battling. This is through turn number 8, but let's go to our race leader because Simpson is out of the final corner and will come on down to the start-finish line to become a race winner in the North American Racing League.
Absolutely amazing race for him. He finished 5th last time out. Now it's first place finish. Bobby Fleck is going to come home in 2nd place. Milan Harris, unfortunate for him, 3rd place. Sanchez is going to finish in 4th.
Whoa!
Oh, is he?
A drag race, but he nabs Louvier.
Oh, wow. Watt is going to finish in 6th. Bertrand, unfortunately, in 7th. Looks like another drag race right there, Andrew. Stevenson just holds off Angelo, looks like.
I don't think that was for position. I think that was a lapped car. But they made it exciting regardless. Here comes Devin Brock across the line. Phillip Pedzurka behind him. Then Bowerman. Wyatt Brackett was not able to take that spot. Here comes Bowerman. Brackett behind him. So no change there.
Wow, what a race. I mean,
here's the battle, though. This is not over.
Oh?
Joshua Benjamin, Ilya Speaker. No pass. Man, that was close.
Drag racing across the line, Andrew. That never gets old.
One more battle on this racetrack. It's not very close, but it's worth talking about. Matthew O'Leary in 19th, Kerry Corcoran in 20th. No position will change here, but worth giving these guys a moment as they come across the start-finish line, and will be a couple of the final cars to finish this race. Race number 3, of the season. Race number 1 on the evening. Here's Diego Eder across the start-finish line. A rough start of the season for him, but he does finish this evening in 21st. At least finishes all laps in this race and stays on the lead lap. That's pretty important, honestly, for a driver's psyche. So, a big-time win there from Kevin Simpson. Bobby Flack goes second. Let's go ahead and check out our full unofficial race results.
So, first place goes to Kevin Simpson. Ahead of him, behind him, actually, should I say, Bobby Flack, 1.5 seconds. Milan Harris, unfortunately, is going to finish 3rd after qualifying on pole. Chris Sanchez is going to finish 4th ahead of Brendan Louvier. Travis Watt is going to finish in 6th place ahead of Stacey Bertrand. Ronaldo Carlos in 8th ahead of David Stevenson. And Scott Angelo Andrew in the top 10.
Finishing in position number 11 is Devin Brock in car number 12. Then is Phillip Pedzurka at 12th. Billy Bowerman in the 13th spot, narrowly over Wyatt Brackett. They nearly had a battle there. Joshua Benjamin just ahead of Ilya Speaker, hangs on to that spot for 15th position. Joe Nagy goes 17th here in race number 3 on the season. Then it's Thomas Amos, a bit of a quiet night for car 9. He goes 18th ahead of Matthew O'Leary and Kerry Corcoran, your top 20.
21st place goes the way of Diego Ere, the last car to finish on the lead lap. Behind him, Armando Bejaran, Michael Clark, John Kroom, Chase Wilson, Timothy Stufflebean, Teague Ashburn, and Sully Sad.
It looks like Kevin Simpson's taking a moment to join us in Discord, but we do have 2nd place Bobby Flack this evening. JP, here is car number 88.
So, Bobby, I mean, a great race for you tonight. 2nd place, just like it was 2 weeks ago in Texas. Today looks like you had the pace to win, especially at the end. But how was the battle and how was the race on your point?
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be talking to you guys again. 2 weeks in a row. That's always a good thing. It was a hell of a race. It was a lot of fun. Like you said, I might have had the pace to get up there with Kevin, but a couple mistakes. And Milan was putting up a good hard battle too. But super pleased to come out with 2nd place.
And I mean, it was a fantastic race from the top 3. I guess we can see even Stacy at one point was battling with you guys. And I mean, what is the secret of keeping it just so consistent on a track that is so unforgiving like Phillip Island?
Practice and just taking it easy on the throttle and the tires. At the end, it was getting a little crazy coming onto the sweeper to the straightaway there with Milan behind me. But I just you gotta finish first and then see what happens. But yeah, these things are a handful on a good day.
And 2 race weekends, I guess you can say, in a row you finished 2nd place. What can we expect for Silverstone?
That's a great question. I really don't have a lot of experience there. Great track. We'll see. It's gonna be a fun battle. May or may not have the point lead coming out of this, so that's great. But yeah, just want to thank all my Team Empire teammates and the old winrider.com Porsche was flying tonight.
Absolutely. With that being said, Bobby, I hope we can talk to you once again in Silverstone. But with that being said, I'm going to wish you all the best and best of luck in practice.
All right, let's plan on talking in a week. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. So, Andrew, that was the 88 of Bobby Flack. 2 weekends in a row, he finished second place. He's hoping that in Silverstone he can do better.
We'll go on down to a race winner now. This will have to be somewhat brief, but Kevin Simpson in car 606 notches himself a race win this evening in Australia. And the first time win, of course, for you, Kevin. We don't really know a whole lot about you, but you are certainly lighting up these scoreboards. A race win here in round number 3.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. If you would have told me that I would have done poorly at COTA and done really well here, I would have said you're crazy. But man, I've been qualifying like above my I rating, but during the race I'm going backwards. I think I'm being too careful. So I decided today, man, I'm going to be aggressive. And Milan made a mistake in front of me. I capitalized, and I guess both Bobby and Milan are a little bit quicker than I am, so they must have started battling behind me, because long run speed, that ain't my thing. So anyway, man, it was a blast. When I signed up for an iRacing League, this is exactly what I wanted to happen.
So a race win in round 3 here at Phillip Island. You talk about wanting to be good at COTA 2 weeks ago, I suppose, last race. Not expecting to be good here at Phillip Island. What are you looking for to circuit, and how do you think you'll fare at Silverstone next week?
Yeah, so I bought Silverstone like 3 weeks ago, so I was still racing on the legacy track, so I don't expect to do all that well. Besides that, there's a bunch of really quick drivers here. I'm very surprised and happy to get a win. So when I look for COTA, like, that's 40 miles from me, man. I mean, that is my home track, and I've been to all kinds of NASCAR events, Formula One, and everything in between, so I expected to do better than I did at COTA. I don't like the high-speed turns. I like the slower, heavy braking areas. I feel like I'm better in those on those tracks. I didn't think I was going to do very well here, but hey, can I get a shout out to my sponsors? They're 2 really cool nonprofit organizations, NBBA.org and SportsVision 2020. They do a lot of really good things for blind and visually impaired recreational opportunities. So if you get a chance, go check those 2 groups out. They're awesome groups, and if you're listening to this and you look them up and give them a donation, or if you can volunteer your time, it's for a worthy cause. Shout out to Geeks Energy as well.
By all means, Kevin, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on 15 laps led, and of course a race win here at Phillip Island. We'll see you next time in Britain.
Thanks.
Kevin Simpson, a big race win this evening. That will do it for amateur coverage. Let's quickly invite you, in case you're done watching for the evening, you saw your driver race, by all means, follow along for these broadcasts coming up on Pit Stop TV. MPI Cup Series action from Atlanta on Sunday at 9 Eastern. Then Wednesday evening, it's the Outlaw Sim Series at Daytona. Those are both NASCAR leagues with NASCAR Gen 7 stock cars. Yes, the ones that you see on Sundays at Atlanta, then Daytona. And Thursday, of course, we'll see North American Racing League action from Silverstone Circuit in Great Britain. That will do it for amateur coverage. We've got more racing, though, on the way. Don't leave us just yet. A whole lot more to talk about throughout the rest of the evening. Let's get ready for Pro and Pro-Am action.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Now we see the drivers make their way into the pit boxes. Dobbs, Robertson, Kinder, Barlow going to go all through 4 of them and take his place on the first pit stall. Wide bracket falling in behind, as now we wait to see these 4 tires and fuel and who's going to be able to win off pit road first. Adam Lancaster drops the jack first. Alan Dobbs is going to get off away early, as Lancaster is going to jump all the way up to 3rd with that, almost beat Robertson, and they make contact, and that is not what you want to see. That might be a pit exit violation of 28, but that is a very devastating blow to number 2 car. You got to hope he didn't get too much damage out of that, but that was a hard hit to the inside wall.
Down the straightaway. We'll get a replay here and show you that one again. That car was really consistent and really strong. I was thinking Robertson was going to be a big factor in the finish of this race. You see Adam Lancaster and Brandon Robertson coming out side by side from the exit of the pit lane, and there was for the completion of 4 fresh tires on that machine. Dobbs got him out of the pit lane, no question about that, but Lancaster got a really great pit stop, came out beside him, and just trying to have enough room between both himself and the wall and himself and Lancaster. Obviously, he misjudged how much room he had to his right side and just clipped that wall. Unfortunately, that's going to be a big blow for Brandon Robertson, but he should be able to get that car fixed up and maybe before we even get back to Green Flag Racing, get it back on the grid.
So getting on pit lane is going to matter a lot. Getting off of pit lane is going to matter a bunch as well. And we also see that margin from 2nd and 3rd starting to close up on the race leader, Jesse Webb. We were talking about the headlights. He was making good use of them there, trying to warn, oh, trouble in front of him. Look out, that's right in front of the leader. He somehow gets by after the 2 lap cars tangle in turn 1.
It looked like Gergois might have gotten on the brakes a little bit too hard, and he will collect Mick Blue as a result. Not too much critical damage for these drivers, but handling is sure to be an issue.
So Gergois, the car that got into the back of Mick Blue, who perhaps was maybe trying to yield to the leader, who was warning that he was en route and on the way. And Mick Blue also ended up spinning around. They now fall a lap behind the leader, who, what a job, though, by Jesse Webb to slam on the brakes as they all came into turn number 1 with a full head of steam. And due to where Gergois' car spun on the pavement as we back into the barrier here on board with Mick Bloom, looks as though that Webb is going to live to fight another day. Here it is out the back of Gergois' car, and here comes Webb. Deep down to turn number 1, just right into the back of Mick Bloom.
Welcome back to the virtual Phillip Island circuit in Australia. Race 1, the amateur race, that is out of the way now. The pros and pro-ams are able to take to the track and get their day started. And already you see we're in qualifying, and Lawrence Zavadil, fastest so far, a 1:28.382. Let's quickly recap what we talked about with the track map here at Phillip Island circuit. There you go, Philippa goes to the top of the board. Vast sweepers, a lot of speed in every single corner, a couple of hairpins, even a faux hairpin at turn 6 if you will, but turns 1, 4, and 10 are going to be some big passing opportunities, or at least big trouble spots for these guys throughout the course of our Pro-Am 50-minute race. So a lot to talk about here, JP. Let's talk about our point standings now. Dino Felipe comes into today with the lead over Ricardo Rico and Eric Goldner, and then Giuliano Romagnolo there on that fourth spot, still within 10 points. In fact, within 9 points of your race leader, but things are a lot more clustered over on the Pro-Am side.
And then you get Louis Santi just 3 points behind. Agustin Castro and Damon Duckworth, Andrew, tied up in points as well. So we have two sets of drivers tied up with points, first and second and fifth and sixth as well on the Pro-Am side. The stakes are high, even though it's only round 3. Drivers still want, to jump up a few positions in the Pro-Am side, in the championship, I should say. So yeah, things should be very, very interesting today.
As I mentioned, qualifying on track, here's a look at Dino Filippa in the number 173. And it looks like maybe paints are taking a little bit to populate here, so we'll see if we can force that through. But he should be. Yeah, he should not be in the 173. He should be in the 71. So give us a moment with paints. We'll try and get that fixed for you. But I promise this is Dino we're looking at, even though the paint doesn't line up. And there we go, Ricardo Rico to the top of the board. And yeah, paints are going to be a moment, but we'll get that sorted out when we can. Regardless, you can see on the ticker who's fast and who's not. And how about Scott Reister? Top of the board in Pro-Am, 6th on track.
Yeah, and absolutely amazing qualifying for him as well so far. Nearly a 10th of a second clear of Castile, who's 9th place. So, yeah, really good qualifying for him. He should be pretty happy about that one, Andrew, behind the helmet.
Wayne, of course, comes into today tied at the top of the Pro-Am lead with, I got to think about this. We were just looking at it. Who was he tied with on top of the standings? I'll think of it. Ryan Kerr. So Ryan Kerr, also a driver to watch here in the 888. It seems like 888 a popular number for guys who make some noise. Of course, we see Brandon Louvier in the amateur class and Ryan Kerr, of course, in the Pro-Ams.
Who I see as well on the field, Andrew?
Would that be one Tony
Someone
Kanaan?
who... No. Tony Kanaan kind of used to see him. We're privileged enough to say that, but looks like Victor Miranda is back on track. So, yeah, we didn't see him last time out in Texas. He's currently last driver, obviously 5.7, so that was just a banker lap. Looks like he's finishing up his lap right now, so we're gonna see what the reigning champion does for us on qualifying. Dino Filippa around Phillip Island, he gets...
And there's number 1.
Didn't even let me finish the sentence. So yeah, the number 1 goes to number 1. I guess that's fitting.
Really not a surprise at all.
I mean, we're just normal about it, right?
Yeah, Eric Goldner also looking quick today in car 10. Again, give us a moment with paints. We'll try and get that sorted as quickly as we can. But it might be one of those days sometimes that we have. Giuliano Romagnolo in the top 10. In fact, 6th in qualifying so far. Matthew Dench in the top 10 as well. Here's Scott Reister, currently your Pro-Am pole sitter. Fabio Zamperlini also in the top 10. Rafael Bonifacio here down in the 20th spot. Here's Marcelo Cana, just looking through some of the field and seeing where these guys are at. Now let's ride on board with one of the pros. We can't look at a whole lot of paint schemes right now, so how about let's go on board with Lucas Souza trying to complete his first timed lap. This is actually his 2nd attempt, and this one will stand. 25th.
Ooh. Yeah, 1.6 seconds usually off the pace so far. Not the qualifying session he wants, but does he have another lap, Andrew? Is this still counting for him?
Yeah, this is his final attempt.
Oh, so he still has one attempt to improve on that one, so he definitely wants to do so. We're just going to have to wait and see what Lucas can do with this lap around here. You can see he's approaching turn number 4, tricky braking zone, 1.6 seconds off the pace, Andrew. Definitely still time on the table.
Souza through turn 4, minding the throttle, getting the car pointed. through the kink of turn 5 and into turn 6. Again, this drives a bit like a hairpin, but also like a sweeper. You've got to be patient, but get back to throttle as early as you can. And once you do so, it's fast through 7, the left-hander, 8, the right-hander, and to turn number 9, where we saw that issue with Brandon Louvier. There we go. Brandon Louvier and Chase Wilson in the amateur race. Had to get that name down. For some reason, it was just... Hey, I guess it's like a flip of a switch. When we go from AM to Pro-Am, it just names leave them on, apparently. But Souza through 10, now through 11. Also very important corners right here, JP. If you get this just right, you can carry a lot of speed through 12, of course, and that, well, sets up for the front stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think this was too much of a clean lap from Lucas. He was wide in a few corners, and yeah, you can see he's not going to improve. In fact, he's going to go 1 second slower than his lap. So I think he's going to be the last driver, I mean, in qualifying, I guess you can say the last place driver that has set a lap. So unfortunately for him, looks like this so far isn't his round. And with barely 1 minute to go, Andrew, we're going to take a look at the schedule right here. We went to Okayama in Japan. We went to Texas for Circuit of the Americas. Now in Australia, we're going around the world, and well, next week we're gonna be in Silverstone.
Yeah, Silverstone next week is interesting. Of course, Formula One just went there this past weekend, so kind of a preview, maybe, not really, of what we might see. Hopefully, we don't see the same thing, actually. We don't want to see an Alfa Romeo flipping into turn 1, but yeah, so maybe, hopefully, anything but that. But I'm sure we'll see good racing next week at Silverstone. It usually provides that, and we've seen great racing so far tonight at Phillip Island, and we're seeing 100% a Formula One schedule takeover. Phillip Island was the one that I was unsure about, and we found out today, it is the host, or was the host of the original Australian Grand Prix, so that means every racetrack on this calendar, aside from Bathurst, I guess, and even Bathurst, maybe, I doubt it, but maybe, I'll have to check into that, I suppose, has hosted Formula One at some point. But at least the first 7 races of the season have hosted Formula One at some point, or still do. That's pretty spectacular to think about, as it looks like. We've got a grid of race cars to go ahead and talk about here, JP. Let's get down grid level with these guys as we can introduce our starting lineup. On pole, you'll find car number 1, Victor Miranda, in the on the pole position, and then it's Dino Filippa starting from the 2nd spot. Starting 3rd this evening, it's Ricardo Rico in car 51, then Eric Goldner in car 10. Starting 5th, you'll find Lauren Zavidil. Giuliano Romagnolo rolls off in the 6th spot. Starting 7th, it's going to be Bruno Del Carmo in car 66, ahead of Matthew Dench in car number 283. And to round out your top 10 GP, it's your pro and pole sitter on one side, that's Scott Reister, and one of our former GT3 champions, Fabio Zamperlini, starting from 10th.
11th place, we're going to have Roger Rezende in the number 69, and the number 3 of Wayne Castile in 12th place. One of the drivers that's tied up in points for the Pro-Am lead. Tony Kanaan is going to line up 13th alongside him, Laui Senti in 14th place. In row number 8, Andrew, we're going to have on the inside lane Alex Purgeon, the number 79, and the 888 of Ryan Kerr, the number in 16th place, I should say, in the outside. Row number 9, we're going to have in the inside Damon Duckworth in the number 8, and the number 190 of Marcelo Kanoff in 18th place. Finally, in row number 10, we're going to have Trace Dahlhorn, the 395 in 19th place, and Rafael Bonifacio in 20th place.
Starting 21st, it's Gonzalo Cortez in car 09, then Lewin Hott starting from the 22nd position this evening. Starting 23rd, it's Sam Soyd in car number 7, ahead of Mitchell Johnson in the 24th starting position. Starting 25th, you'll find Lucas Souza, then Scott Kimbrough in 26th, and the final row, 2 28-car fields wrapped up here by Miguel Colon in car 87 and Brian Zinn in car 173. A unique look here at our pole sitter as, hey, red lights, green lights on the way, perfect timing this time as we get ready for race number 2 on the night. Of course, your Pro-Am race, round number 3 here from Phillip Island. We're racing in Australia. A cleaner start for the pros as they headed to turn 2. Miranda had some contests down to turn 1, JP, but that's all sorted now as everybody hounds the second corner.
You can see it there, 2 and 3 wide. You can see there the leader just barely edging out the number 71, but you can see, will we see a move, Andrew, for the lead of the race? You can see their defensive action from the leader further behind. Are we going to see a bit of contact? Yes, we will. One car spun around.
Oh,
Looks like it's just
man.
going to be two. Oh, unfortunately,
Two of the top
drivers still-
Maradness cars.
Oh,
Three of the
and
top Maradness cars. Add Wayne
No.
Castile. Oh my goodness. Giuliano
just like
Romagnolo.
Texas.
Giuliano Romagnolo, there we go, was that red car. Alex Persian was the other car that came sliding in with him, and then Wayne Castile went around right in front of them. Maradness, an awful start here to race number 3 for these guys. That's painful.
Oh, absolutely. I don't remember if it was Texas or Okayama injured that we saw a bunch of Moradnes cars having
Yes, I
issues,
think.
but it's just once again happening to them. Great qualifying, but unfortunately it's not connecting in the race. And you can see here the rest of the field making their way through the second hairpin. And it looks like no contact was made this time around.
Yeah, Maradness has had great speed. We've seen that. Great results still from certain drivers, but others tend to have bad luck here at the starts of these races, and it's just been a rough go of things to start the season off for them. Lap 1 goes complete. Victor Miranda leading over Dino Filippa. Let's let a little more of lap 2 go on this time. Before we go back and check out lap 1, you can see third place, a battle as well between Ricardo Rico and Eric Goldner. So things are fiery here on lap number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. The gaps are still close. You can see there, Eric Goldner, as you mentioned, really close to Ricardo Rico, just trying to maybe get the position sooner than later. Obviously, Andrew, at one point or the other, these drivers are going to have to think about that fuel-saving strategy. The question is, do you risk it all early on? And it looks like a few drivers are doing so. We saw a few moves right there happening down into turn number 4. Tony Kanaan, you can see there, looking to go around the outside. He's going to be squeezed down and unfortunately has to back out of it.
Battling there with Lowy Santi, one of the Duck Hawk Racing machines. Let's go ahead and go back and check out what happened there on lap 1 now. The answer is a lot, but we still want to see if we can check it out and get an idea as to exactly what went on for these guys. Let's start with the start of the race. On board, well, let's just stay with Tony Kanaan. A bit of a false start, but I think he avoids penalty. And he wasn't the only one that fired off slow. There goes Alex Persian on through. And I believe that's a Triple Eight of Ryan Kerr. Now, as far as Giuliano Romagnolo, he is up here with the leaders. He was 4th into turn 2, then 5th. Bruno De Carmo on the inside as Miranda goes purple live. Matthew Dench there. But watch that red Maradness machine is on the outside now. 3 wide. Dench goes to the inside, and that promotes Bruno De Carmo to back out. That gives the spot overall to Giuliano Romagnolo, and oh my goodness. Bruno just comes in and hits him. I mean, he just hit him.
Yeah, just missed the breaking point a little bit. I guess he was just trying to defend from Matthew Dench and unfortunately couldn't avoid the contact with the number 55. And you can see there the 2 other Moradness cars as well taking a spin down into turn number 4. And just really unfortunate to see that happening this early on.
Let's get an opportunity here. So we'll see the contact of the spin start for the 55 of Romagnolo. He gets turned around right there. And then here comes Persian. He gets hit from behind as well. That was a silver car that tagged him around. And then it was a problem for Wayne Castile in car 3 as he goes around just about on his own. So big problems here for Maradness. One of the top teams, if not the top team in the North American Racing League. And some big troubles very, very early on. Our leaders, though, nose to tail as they work through turn 10, now 11. Here we go, JP. This is what we've always wanted, to have a fight for the race lead.
Absolutely. Dino Phillip looks like he's not saving too much fuel. Looks like he doesn't want to do that. So he's going to be attacking Victor Miranda so far. Less than 0.2 of a second was the gap as they exited turn 12. Victor, will he go defensive? I don't think so. You can see there Phillip putting the fastest lap of the race right here. So he's really putting Victor Miranda under pressure right here. Andrew, maybe forcing him to use a bit more fuel than he wants to. But this is certainly making things a lot more exciting for us up here in the commentary booth.
Holding steady in the top 3, you've got Miranda, Filippa, and Rico. Goldner not far back. Bruno De Carmo in the top 5. Matthew Dench. Let's talk about him, JP. Of course, comes into today, well, he is a former race winner here at Phillip Island in the North American Racing League. Granted, it was in the GT3 series. Of course, is an Australian, so has a leg up, just like if you take a Brazilian to Interlagos. But Matthew, I think, is going to have the best opportunity he's had all season long. Really, the best opportunity he's had in this series at all. He's got 2 Australian races in this season, and I don't want to just play into the stereotype of, oh, as an Australian at Australian track, or Brazilian at a Brazilian track. Legitimately, these guys focus on their home tracks. So Matthew Denge has a lot of time here at Phillip Island, has a lot of time at Bathurst, and I'm sure has a lot of time now at Sandown and Winton, but of course we're not going to either one of those, just Phillip Island and Bathurst this season. This is really important for him to maximize the effort this evening. He's in 6th so far. He's clear of Fabio Zamperlini, who's also off to a great start today. We'll knock on wood for him. But this is exactly what Matthew needs to do, and honestly, he could use a few more spots.
Yeah, absolutely. He's still just barely, looks like, within that slipstream range. And as you mentioned, he's in a great shot of getting a few extra positions. The guys up ahead are very close, nose to tail. You can see there Phillip at one moment was less than 1/10 of a second behind Miranda. So they're still very close. And just like we saw in the amateur race, Andrew, anything can happen. You know, contact between the drivers up ahead could still happen, and he could benefit from that. So he just needs to keep his head down. Looks like he's on a race of his own, you know, just against him at the moment. So yeah, it's a fantastic position. If he can save a bit of fuel, maybe he could, you know, capitalize on these guys battling up ahead, but only time will tell. But so far, he's certainly within a great shot, and we are watching a great shot of these guys going at it.
Your top 5 on the line, especially your top 2. Miranda, Phillip very close. Your race leader in Pro-Am is still Scott Reister, and he's got a good ways back to Lowy Santi for the 2nd spot. Could this be the day that Scott Reister needs? I mean, he has had 2-3 seasons of really terrible luck in his own series and has just continued to keep fighting, has continued to keep putting pen to paper and keep putting boot to pavement. In this case, rubber to pavement, just trying to eke out these race points, just trying to get what he can. And, well, so far it's looking good.
Absolutely it is, and just still not only leading his class, but overall in the top 10, as Damon Duckworth looks like he's going to be taking an off-track excursion. Looks like down into 4, looks like. And, the stand. So, yeah, he's going to be rejoining a little bit. You can see it looks like the tires are a bit hot, but, yeah, he's going to make his way out of the final corner. But, yeah, Scott Reister within a great shot as we have this great battle right here. We could be going 3 wide, and it looks like we will.
They tried. Llewellyn Hunt goes over to the left side. Now here comes Lowy Santi up the inside. Samsoid going to pass both of them as they go into turn 1. It's Samsoid, Hunt, and Santi. Then Rafa Bonifacio for good measure here in this 4-car battle.
What an amazing side we just saw. Drivers not afraid to go for it, and Samsoid, well, made the best out of it. And he's going to get this position. He's going to be leading this train, and we could be seeing a switchback right here down into turn number 4. Will he go defensive? No, he won't have to, as all of them break in a straight line. But you can see there, Andrew, nose to tail on all 4 cars.
This is a good look at all of these guys, including Giuliano Romagnolo. So cars ahead. There's Romagnolo in that red 55. He is in the 13th position now. And then Ryan Kerr, Samsoid, Llewellyn Hunt, Lowy Santi, Rafa Bonifacio, Mitchell Johnson, Damon Duckworth, that silver Porsche. Miguel Colon also in this line of cars. It extends for quite a ways. This is a lot of cars in a line, and we've seen this through the amateur race, now into the Pro-Am race. It seems like these guys are able to line up and stay in this line, JP, with minimal passing opportunities, but really fast corners where you can just stay single file, maybe side by side in some cases. I'm impressed that they're staying in this line. Usually you'd see a mistake here, a mistake there, but it seems like these guys have got these cars figured out. They're relatively stable here at Phillip Island, which is a rarity for Porsche Cup cars.
Yeah, absolutely, and it seems like the driver behind sometimes has the edge, Andrew. Obviously, not only just due to the slipstream, but you know, it's just able to put, I guess, cleaner laps. I noticed that a little bit when we were watching the amateur race, but this so far seems like everybody's on equal footing. It looks like, as we have 2 cars really close to each other. It looks like that's Fabio Zamperlini and Lawrence Zavadil, if I'm not mistaken, but. Yeah, it's just amazing as we have a switch for position. Yeah, those 2 going at it. You can see there, Zavadil gets the position, but Zamperlini's still on the inside. They're going to go side by side. Who's going to come out on top?
Oh, contact.
Still side by side. A bit of contact, looks like. But looks like the number 24 will get an edge. But look at Resende coming in.
Roger Resende now on these guys. We're looking at 7th, 8th, and 9th on the racetrack. Zavadil takes a spot from Fabio Zamperlini. Now Roger Resende trying to pounce. Scott Reister in the distance. Zamperlini, of course, a former GT3 champion. We talk about that a lot, JP, but that really does mean a lot to, I think, any of these drivers, that they're able to have those accolades to their name, be it race wins or season championships in this North American Racing League. That means a lot. So for Fabio to carry that around, I know these are very different cars. I know they handle a lot differently. These races are a bit different, JP, but that still means a lot to a driver and gives them an old chip on the shoulder.
Oh, absolutely. And let's not forget, he kind of not stole the championship, but won the championship over another driver that's hit on the racetrack. Yeah. And the driver that we talked about, Matthew Dench, just, I guess you can say, he was there on the race, but it was such a fantastic finale as we have, looks like the leaders going at it now. Phillip once again putting Miranda under pressure.
Whoa,
looks like he's going to be looking down the inside of turn 3. He's going to have the outside of turn 4. Will Miranda give that in? Looks like not quite. Still side by side between the leaders.
Side by side for the point. Victor Miranda, Dino Phillip. And it looks like, yes, Miranda able to clear the 71. That was a ballsy attempt, though, from Dino to go side by side in 3. And look at that. Victor goes a little bit offline out of 6. Now through 7. He's a little bit slower. Does Dino look to the inside or the outside? Whoa, he thought about the inside for turn 9, but that's sketchy. Now through the curving there, up over Loki Heights. Does he do something into turn 10, or does he hold right where he is? He holds for now.
But this is certainly exciting, Andrew. I'm surprised that we saw the attack from Phillip this early on. I'm surprised that we saw the defense from Miranda this early on. I thought one of them was going to just give it up that easily just to have track position, but looks like both of them want to lead this race, which is absolutely amazing. Now Miranda is really close, and he's going to be on the back foot, I think, from Phillip.
Matthew Dench hanging on to this top 5. You got 6 cars then in a line as they head down the front stretch underneath the Australia-Melbourne Bridge. And no change. Wow. Let's also talk about Ricardo Rico, Eric Goldner, and Berto DeCarmo sitting in this line. Of course, DeCarmo had that contact with Romagnolo. We can't sugarcoat that. He made contact with the back end of the 55. The 55 spun. That's just how that works. But Bruno holding in a good spot. Looks like not letting that get to him. Hey, a top 5 is never easy to argue with, that's for sure. It's always worth it. It's side by side again for the race lead. Dino tries on the outside of 4, and he saw Rico on the way try to take that inside line in 4, and he quickly said, nope, I'll take that spot back.
Yeah, I'll just keep my second place. It's better than a third place because I have a good shot at the leader. And all of this battle really brought Matthew Dench back into the mix. Now it's really close. So, this is playing perfectly into the 283's hands, Andrew, but they have a big separation between him and Zavadili, and you can see there just how close it is. We haven't seen these guys going close since, I guess, the birth of the Porsche Cup in NARL, and I'm absolutely loving this battle.
This is really close between these guys. Dino definitely has a bit of pace right now, but why is that? You got to start thinking, right? Is that actual pace? Are these guys full 100%? I doubt it. I think Victor is holding back right now, especially knowing the fuel game these guys always play, and tires as well at a place like Phillip Island. We have not talked weather yet, JP. In this second race on the day, things have warmed up a little bit, but not by much. Still pretty cool track temps, still pretty windy out of the north, 16, 17 miles per hour. So it's not that warm, but you still got to keep these tires in their optimal range. You cannot overheat them, and if you start fighting, you just might do that. So Dino, I think, has got to maybe consider that, and I think Victor already is.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are going to have to keep in mind, the high temperatures on the tires, because once you have a full...
Whoa, there he goes!
Yes! He goes to the inside. Miranda doesn't give him too much room. He's going to have the inside for turn 5, turn 6 now. And, this battle
he's off track! No! Dino Phillip off course into the wall there in turn 6. And that was just good, hard racing. Neither driver did anything wrong. Scott Reisterl making the pass there for 9th. Dino now into 10th ahead of Marcelo Canoff. Wow.
Wow, indeed. And can I say something, Andrew? Dino Phillip shouldn't be too sad about it because he made a mistake, yeah, sure, but he made a mistake going for it, trying to brave it around the outside of the reigning champion, not something we see every day. And now I think we're going to see a 71 card that is going to be very, very aggressive, trying to get himself back into the battle. We saw the pace that this guy has, and just cannot wait to see what he's going to do in the last 35 minutes.
We've already seen the pace and the aggression out of car 71. We know he's going to fight pretty hard as he now sets his sights on car 42. Scott Reister, your Pro-Am race leader, as they head down to turn 1.
And you can see the gap there is 0.2 of a second. And I wonder, Andrew, I mean, Scott, I don't think he needs to battle. I don't think he should. And there we go. No, absolutely no need to battle. He might lose a few tenths of a second. Yeah, sure. But, I mean, once you have a car that qualified on the front row, was battling with the leaders, and is just right behind you, you might as well just let him go. And you can see there, now Eric Goldner is really putting pressure on Rico just ahead of him to try to make himself, second place to his teammate, just like I think we saw this on the first round.
And honestly, if you're Ricardo Rico, did your situation get better or worse? Because now you're directly in between the Energy Simusport drivers of Victor Miranda and Eric Goldner. You no longer have Dino Filippo to break things up. And I know he's alone right now. He does not have his Arnage competition teammate of Nicholas Rubilar in this top order. I don't think he's even in this race today. I don't see him out there anyways. So throw that out. He doesn't have his Arnage teammate, but now he has nobody else. He's in this sandwich directly between cars 1 and 10. Honestly, I'd be a little bit concerned if I was Rico now. Yeah, you gained a spot, but you're directly in between two teammates. It's always a little bit scary.
Yeah, absolutely, because those teammates, I mean, they're going to be in occasions talking, about strategy. We could see Victor Miranda just backing off a little bit, just to allow Goldner to really close up to Rico. And, that could be the trend. So now Rico, as you mentioned, is in a tricky position. He gained one spot, but, I mean,
did it
you
really
don't want to
help
be the meat. Yeah, you don't want to be the meat of the sandwich, do you? So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he copes with the pressure, but I'm pretty sure he should be doing just fine.
We're already nearly 20 minutes into this race, and it's felt like maybe 5 or 7 or so. It's not felt like 20 minutes so far, JP. Let's keep the cameras on these race leaders through the statics, but let's talk about our partners here with the North American Racing League Porsche Cup Series. Virtual Racing School VRS providing the amateur setups and baseline setups for the pros and pro-ams, as well as Moradness driver coaching, providing driver coaching for, well, most of these drivers in the amateur series and a lot of these drivers as well in the pros and pro-am series. A lot of these drivers swear by Moradness, and honestly, I have to as well. Giuliano Romagnolo, one of the top drivers by skill, I think, in this series, never has very good luck, as Bruno De Carmo makes a mistake there in turn 10. Giuliano is easily their top coach, not named Daniel Morad, and they're all ready to get you up to speed. Tam Livery as well, ready to get you up to speed on the racetrack by Pixels. He wants to get you looking good on the racetrack while you're going fast, and check out JS Consulting for all of your website hosting needs. A whole lot going on here with, I should say website building needs, by the way, with JS Consulting, handling a lot of the back-end stuff here for the North American Racing League. So again, Virtual Racing School, VRS, Moradness, Tam Livery, and JS Consulting. Our partners here at Pit Stop TV, of course, fantastic people that help us out. Whiplash Media SimCams, bringing you the sights and sounds of the North American Racing League, as well as SimWrapMarket.com and Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. 31 minutes and 30 seconds to go, JP. Our top 10 only 8.7 seconds or so apart. You're looking at your top 5 leaders run through turn 4. One battle I think we should go ahead and talk about is actually way back in the field. Dawi Santi, Rafael Bonifacio. This is behind Lewin Hott and Samsoid. So still pretty much the same order as we saw earlier, but very close in this midfield. A lot of positions to be made potentially, as that was Santi to the inside of Hott.
That was very close. That could have been an interiors. We saw lockup right there, but we are seeing drivers and they're really going deep under braking. Drivers really being brave under braking, which is really good to see. And I'm liking this unexpected aggression I guess we're seeing on Phillip Island. I really wasn't expecting to see this much, I guess liberty from the drivers to go for moves, but I'm certainly happy to see those. And you can see right here the battle once again emerging. We could be seeing a move down into braking zone, not quite, maybe just waiting for the front straightaway. But this is certainly, an amazing round this is.
Also want to talk about Tony Kanaan in position number 12 currently. Comes out of turn 12, actually, chasing car 190 of Marcelo Canoff. So, a problem for Dawi Santi? Not really. He's coming to the pit lane, actually. First time we're talking about this today, JP. Car 138 coming down for service, and this has to be scheduled, I'd say. A very tight pit lane here at Phillip Island. He's coming in for fuel.
Yeah, this has to be an attempt of an undercut. We saw plenty of these this season, Andrew, so I think we should just be expecting this one. We're going to be taking a look at how long it takes for him to fuel up, and we should be taking this number into consideration. Looks like just over 10 seconds, 11, just under 12 seconds. So that's going to be the number we're going to be, approaching here today. And only time will tell if that was a good or bad stop.
And these drivers have to use that longer pit exit. They have to stay to the left side on pit exit here. This is scary. This is very scary for drivers. But Lowy Santi makes easy work of it, gets back onto the racetrack with no issue. Trey Drahorn and Alex Persian battling here. Persian, one of the top but Maradnes drivers, but he had a rough start. Of course, that spin after contact with, I believe, that was the silver number 8 of Damon Duckworth. Persian just trying to recover his race, currently in position number 23. So, and Wayne Castillo right behind him as well. So these guys are trying to recover as, Wayne Castillo, a bit of a moment out there out of turn 6. And this is going to be tough for Castillo to swallow. He comes in today, JP, if you recall, tied for the point lead in Pro-Am. He will not leave that way.
Yeah, most likely not injured. This is really could have been. It's just a race of what could have been after, just a championship. Obviously, he still has plenty of rounds to, pretty much just bounce back. But he was looking so good after qualifying. And unfortunately, even before lap 1 ended, that kind of shot of taking over the lead of the championship got stolen away from him. But still 28 minutes. And as his teammate goes wide, be careful to rejoin. And there it goes. One more position for him.
A position for Castillo, but of course a position lost there for Persian, but just a position change for Maradnes as a whole. Here's a couple of drivers battling. Phillip up into the 7th position. It's now an All-Pro top 10, by the way. In fact, an All-Pro top 11, as Marcelo Canoff and Tony Kanaan have now passed Scott Reister. But the 71 and 27 battling here, and Zamperlin unfortunately loses that spot. And a a crash for Lou Hot off the racetrack.
And in the exact same spot we saw Phillip going off, isn't it? So a similar mistake right there for Luan, and unfortunately for him, he's going to be losing, like Phillip, a few positions in quite a bit of time. So looks like a mistake-prone a corner right there, as you can see on the exit right here of 4 as we head into 5. I wonder if he just clips the grass.
He just ran in too hot.
Just carried a bit too much speed, and just like Phillip, he's going to be brushing against the tire barrier and rejoining the racetrack.
But he hit the right front on the tire as opposed to the right rear. And I know right rear toe links are pretty easy to break in a lot of cars, but on iRacing, usually you want to avoid hitting the front corner. And the rear corner, you can try and get that quarter panel to hit as opposed to the suspension. That might be a little concerning for Luan, but it looks like he's continued on with that issue. So, 6 to 1 half dozen the other. We'll find out here soon, I'm sure. Battles in the top 10, they continue on, including this battle to get into the top 10. Tony Kanaan putting pressure on Marcelo Canoff. We've talked a little bit about Marcelo, one of the quieter drivers in this field. Now, having to defend from one of the best drivers in this field, Tony Kanaan certainly has the accolades to match, well, literally anybody. And then some. I don't think anybody can quite match what Tony Kanaan has going for him. But, hey, in the sim racing world, these two drivers, this is what's so special, these two drivers are just about even. So Tony Kanaan's accolades in the real world kind of go out the window when he logs into iRacing.com, because he is now equaled right down to the level of these guys, and it really is a different world. And I'm sure he doesn't have a whole lot of Porsche Cup experience, if any, in real life, especially at Phillip Island Racing Circuit, but again, great equalizer. He logs in, and he's back equal with a lot of these guys like Marcelo Canoff and Roger Resende and Scott Reister that he's racing around. So we know Tony Kanaan, we know his name, we know he runs in the Superstar Racing Experience now, and IndyCar, and he has Indy 500 wins and championships, but this is completely different from what you might expect. So here we go. He does make a move into turn 1, but does not take the spot.
And dare I say, Andrew, this has been Tony's, best race so far this season, I think. Battling for a spot in the top 10 and having the pace to fight some of these guys, to move up and obviously, close in to those top end guys. So this has turned out to be a really good racetrack for him. So maybe that, lack of Porsche experience and lack of Porsche experience around Phillip Island could be going on his favor, obviously, without all of that real life experience. But yeah, I'm eager to see what awaits Tony for the remaining 25 minutes and where he could finish on this race with the pace that he currently has.
So Kanaan and Canoff still close. Scott Reister up behind these guys, and Reister unfortunately will likely end up losing the 12th position to Giuliano Romagnolo just by pace, simply by qualifying pace for Giuliano. So the Maradnes 55 continues his way back through the field, or at least trying to. as it looks like his tires just aren't quite cooperating as he might need. The good news for Reister is from Giuliano back to Ryan Kerr, which is second place in Pro-Am, there's 6 seconds. So even if Giuliano goes on by Scott Reister here in a moment, he's got a healthy gap back to second place in class. Ryan Kerr in car 888, one of the Radness entries. So really, I think Scott can rest easy. And yeah, right there, he lets Giuliano go on by on the front stretch and now has 6 seconds to defend or build on his race lead as Samsoed and Bonifacio battle. Miguel Colon falls in behind Mitchell Johnson. So just seeing where these puzzle pieces fall is rather fascinating as, you know what I see, JP? Do you see it where I see it?
The battle for the lead is closing up. Is that it?
More so third and fourth. Goldner and DeCarmo are close, and this is going to alleviate that pressure we talked about earlier for Ricardo Rico. If Goldner has to fight with Bruno DeCarmo, suddenly I don't think Ricardo has to worry about him at all.
Yeah, maybe not. So yeah, if these two start going side by side, Andrew, and I have I guess a guess that they will, that's really going to, I guess, take a big pressure out of the shoulders from Rico. And obviously that could worry Miranda a little bit more. So interesting scenes still to happen. And obviously this battle could also help 5th place Matthew Dench.
Now, I hate to break the fourth wall for a moment, but I do want to make you guys aware just in case something happens, and maybe I'm jinxing myself by even saying this, but I did just hear a massive bit of thunder overhead, saw some lightning out of the corner of my eye, so if this stream does go down, that's likely why, in which case we'll make sure to get race results as soon as we can on social media, try and make sure you guys can be updated in case you're not in the league, you can't see the race results, we'll try and get those out to you if we are able to do so. So just making sure that's known in case it goes down. It's summer in the Carolinas. You have big monsoonal kind of storms come in. As Goldner now under pressure properly from Bruno DeCarmo. The Texaco Racing by Tony Kanaan, number 66, looks good. And here we go to the inside. Oh, contact there. Side by side. Door banging. DeCarmo saves it. Pushes the 10 off. Goldner goes for a bit of a half spin. And look at this. Now battle for third and fourth. Here comes Matthew Dench putting pressure all over the 66. But no pass is able to be made. Wow.
Wow, indeed. A lot of contact made with those two. There could be a few repairs needed for Bruno, or maybe just a bit of damage sustained. But wow, indeed, Andrew. I mean, I wasn't expecting seeing those two going so side by side. And while even making contact, this is really going to open the door to Matthew to maybe inspire himself to, just push a little bit more and get that 4th place.
And Eric's going to be seeing red after that.
Yeah, they will absolutely be seeing red. And but now it's just a question of just getting, I guess, a bit over that and just focusing once again. As you can see there, Goldner definitely not doing that, and definitely still, pushing a bit too much to try and get back and trying to obviously retake that 3rd place. But boy, oh boy, that was certainly a battle between those two.
Let's go back and take one more look at that. That was into turn number 4. These two, well, this battle kind of coming to a precipice. Let's get another look at this. This is going to be exciting, I think. Down to turn 4. We saw it happen live, but I want to see a really good look here, actually, from the onboard of DeCarmo. How does this contact even start? There's plenty of room to go side by side here to 4. DeCarmo, I think, just goes in. Oh, that's hard to say. I don't think I can blame either driver in this case.
I think, in my opinion, obviously Goldner, I think, just turned in a bit too early. Just Bruno was. I don't think they were.
Bruno was all the way on the inside for the apex. I really think they were both just racing hard, and unfortunately they were maybe 2 inches too close.
Either way, contact was made, and Eric, unfortunately, just left on the worst side. Got the, I don't know the same, but just got the worst piece of it, and unfortunately fell back a few positions. And you can see right there.
This is a replay.
Oh, this is a replay of another. I thought we were gonna see the same contact, but is that TK going through?
Yeah, and Giuliano this time. He got turned earlier. This time he's doing the turning. I think just a little overzealous there into 6. Turns Marcelo Canoff around in the 6th corner, and Marcelo already had his issues, I believe, over here. Or was that? I think that was his teammate actually, Luan Hot. It was, and well. 6 is proving to be rather difficult.
Looks like it is the instant prone corner this time around in the pro class. And unfortunately for those drivers, they have been victims of said instance on said corner. Cutting back to live picture, you can see there's another battle. Looks like Goldner now has to defend from Lawrence Zavadil. And, well, Phillip just behind the number 24. Andrew, this could become interesting. You can see there the number 71 really coming in hot. And
I could have sworn I saw the number 10 kick out that rear and go for a little bit of a power slide out of the corner. Maybe I'm just a little too used to seeing drift cars from Audubon a couple of weekends ago. I don't know, but I could have sworn I saw him get sideways. Worth mentioning, cars in the pit lane now. We're going to see this a whole lot more in the final, in the next 9 minutes or so. This is car number 17, Scott Kimbrough down the pit lane. He comes in for a 12.45 second stop. And that matches right up with Rafael Bonifacio, although a little bit slow, and right about where Samsoid was as well. Samsoid 11.2, and he does lose this position, by the way, to Rafael. So a very important pit stop for these two drivers because Samsoid lost a spot and Rafael gained it.
Yeah, absolutely. A switch up for those two. And as you mentioned, Andrew, and actually, as you pointed out, now pit stops are going to become a thing, Andrew. And seeing who's going to be saving more fuel is going to be really, really important as we have other cars joining in. Is this Romagnolo? Yes, it is. Number 55 dives into the pit lane, I should say, not back. And we should keep an eye on his pit timer. It's going to be one of the last pit stalls. There we go, comes to a stop. And now the fuel starts going into his fuel tank. Currently looking at around a 10-second pit stop, I should say. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.5.
That's but he's been racing hard.
Yeah, so not a lot of fuel saving to be done. And obviously, I think he's expecting Andrew to still keep on racing quite a bit harder, and that's probably why he took a bit more fuel. Alex Persian as well coming into the pit lane, and he came to a stop right now. You can see there another car leaving just as he stopped, and the number 79 just waiting for his fuel to be done, and should expect as we have Phillip really going down the inside of Zavadil on 6.
That was in turn 6. That was turn 9. That was up into Lukey Heights. That was really aggressive there. So Lawrence Zavadil gives up 6. Dino Filippa takes it back. And you can see Eric Goldner in this picture. So things are really changing. And our leaders, both down the pit lane, they are making contact.
Oh.
Into the pits.
Interesting. And that's going to cost both of them time. And it could be damage to obviously one of them.
Oh, there's a lot of damage to the back end of Miranda. He doesn't have to worry about it, though. What's the nose of the 51 look like? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was
and an adjustment there. Ricardo Rico's out of the top 3 after this one for sure.
Oh, and Miranda could be in danger of that lead with that damage, Andrew. Now the question, who's going to come out ahead of these two?
Long stops. Really long stops here.
Wow.
They're getting the damage fixed. My goodness. Both of them out of the lead. Oh, my.
And this is going to promote Bruno to the lead of the race.
Could have been incidents, too. They could be in here for a penalty. This could be the race's... I mean, wow.
And this is going to shake up to probably could give Andrew, the homeboy, the advantage that he needed.
We'll find out in a moment. It's tough to say, but what we do want to go back and take a look at is this incident into the pit lane. How do they make this contact in the first place? That's what we want to know. Let's check this out from the back end of Miranda. This is into the pit lane. Here comes Ricardo. He just cooks it. I mean, he just straight hit him. I think, oh, you know what?
Oh, it could be a speeding penalty.
Yes, that was a speeding penalty for both of them. I was just going to say that those yellow cones are what Victor was looking for the pit speed, and Ricardo just didn't even, had no regard for them, unfortunately. Pushes them both to a speeding penalty. Here's a look at it.
Well, yeah, that's completely it. You can see there, not a late decision, but you can see there Ricardo is just going to get caught off guard.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
that was
huge.
A massive hit as well. Wow.
That is huge. The race turned over on its head. This is exactly what Goldner needed, actually. Goldner, DeCarmo, Dench, all of those guys really going to benefit from this. And yes, it's the Texaco number 66 out first ahead of Matthew Dench. Into the race lead goes Bruno DeCarmo.
Wow, this is going to be so interesting to see if Bruno can hold this position. He's in the golden spot to win this race. 1 second clear on Matthew Dench, so he really got to jump on the pit lane. Goldner now obviously is going to be on the back foot. He's going to be wanting to go back, and you can see there we have to look all the way down to where are they? 19th place for Victor Miranda.
Wow. Victor Miranda 19th. Tony Kanaan also had an issue. He is now 20th. I wonder if he had a similar issue potentially. Ricardo Rico's 21st. They're all on a line. Here's Ricardo Rico. A move potentially on TK by turn 1. You can see one of the Duck Hunt cars there on the inside. TK's got a lot of damage. He's got a lot of damage there to that car. Oh my.
Yeah, he does. On the side, on both sides.
Rico!
Actually. Oh! Whoa.
They're making me use my outside voice tonight. I'll tell you that much. That's the 128 in the way there, or 138 rather, of Laui Santi. So this is for position for all of these guys. I say in the way, but racing with them as TK into the corner, into turn 4. Man, he was looking to the inside.
Yeah, I think it was avoiding action, and you saw the car just pretty much just dancing on him as he tried to brake to avoid any sort of contact. But yeah, and just as I applauded TK for what was a good race, well, things really did turn on their heads. I didn't knock on wood. I think that's my fault. And looks like the damage came shortly after exiting the pit stops.
Yeah, it's good out of the pit lane, and then this happened. Oh, no! Wow. I never, ever would have expected that from TK.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. That's going to be tough for Julia. Oh, no, don't tell me he came back on into more. Okay, no, I think he missed them. That's really unfortunate. And, wow. I mean, there's just not a whole lot else to say there. That's just unfortunate. Unfortunately, that's a pro racing driver making a bit of, I mean, I'm going to be honest, making a mistake out of the pit lane. This is an unsafe re-entry. You got to feel for Giuliano. You got to feel for Stu in this. He was just trying to get more laps in this race, and unfortunately, he's done.
It just wasn't his race, was it? I mean,
it never is. It really never is.
You just cannot catch a break.
I can't express how much work Giuliano puts into these races. Well, and you know, maybe not even for himself, but puts this effort in for the drivers that come to Madness for coaching. He puts in so much blood, sweat, and tears into iRacing in that regard, and really takes care of his craft. And maybe doesn't have a ton of time to practice for these races. I think he's mentioned that before, but comes out here and always has speed, has racecraft, might make mistakes. I know he got into, I forget who it was now. I think it was Canoff in turn 6. Admittedly, turned him around. So yes, a mistake there from Giuliano, but always comes down here and just tries to put his best effort forward as a battle there for third. You can see that into turn 4. My goodness. Oh man, every passing attempt in turn 4. But Dino Filippo does move back into the top 3, and you can see Goldner not happy. But I want to get back to Giuliano for a moment. He comes out here, always just tries to get a good result, and unfortunately, something always ends up happening. He is a magnet. I think he needs to ditch that red livery from Radness. He needs to find a different color, I think, because maybe that's what it is. He's a target for a lot of the bad luck in this league. I don't know what it is. He and Scott Reister have been the focus of so much bad luck this season and seasons past. I gotta feel for Giuliano here, but that was a pass for third, as we saw. Dino Filippo to the inside of Eric Goldner in turn 4, so Goldner now down to 4th, and Lawrence Zavadil maybe going to collect this top 5. I'd say so. He's got 14 seconds back to Zamperlini, while Matthew Dench squares up Bruno DeCarmo out of 12.
I was just going to mention, Andrew, Matthew really closed in the gap. It was 1.2 as they exited the pit lane. Now it's less than 14 of a second, so I think something is just clicking on, Andrew, is that, you know, I guess it's the stereotype. You know, he's in his home race. He can see the victory right now. He's just finding extra time on the race car, and this is amazing right here to watch. So 10 minutes to go. He has to line up and pass Bruno DeCarmo to make sure he wins his home race. So, yeah, stakes, I guess, are high. You can see he's using all the road available. So, this is 110% pushing for Matthew Dench.
And he's saving. Hopefully the viewers heard that into turn 4. He put the clutch into the corner, and we'll see if maybe we can pick it up again at some point. Watch the RPMs potentially in case he puts the clutch back in. We'll even switch over. This view will really show it on the dash, JP, for those that maybe couldn't quite hear it. I don't know if it's going to happen again, maybe turn 10. But he's saving fuel. And the pit lane time, his pit box time was actually longer than Bruno DeCarmo. They were both able to save a lot of fuel. I'm not sure Bruno's in a better... honestly, Matthew might be in the better spot between these two, and he's saving fuel even. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think the reason why is Bruno was always behind someone. He was always there saving fuel. On the beginning of the race, Matthew Dench was almost a second away. I think it was from Bruno actually, and he just maybe had to push a little bit to make sure he was within that 1 second. So that could be the explanation why he took a bit more fuel. But he's certainly in this battle, Andrew. The gap is closing and closing, and you can see there Bruno looks like he's saving a bit more than Matthew is.
Matthew Dench through turn 2, putting pressure here on your race leader. Oh, that was a wiggle. That was a bobble there at a Bruno. Oh, and Matthew goes off track, jumps the curb. Now listen here for Matthew Dench. Does he put the clutch in? No, he's going to go for the pass. To the inside goes the Australian, and he's got the race lead. Matthew Dench to the point at Phillip Island.
Absolutely amazing move, Andrew. I think he just studied. He knew Bruno was saving a little bit and just used the opportunity.
Whoa, contact.
Bruno gets really close, a bit of contact. Bruno gets out of shape. Matthew doesn't even feel the contact, and that's going to mean that the 283 can now try to run away from Bruno DeCarmo. And obviously right now, if he has to save fuel, he's going to be in a worse situation, but he has track position, which is definitely important around here.
We talk about it. Brazilians at Interlagos. This guy here at Phillip Island, an Aussie in the field. Ryan Kerr, also an Aussie, by the way, I do believe. So he's putting some hometown, or I guess home country pressure on Scott Rice here for this Pro-Am win. But Matthew Dench just finds a way here at Phillip Island, and here he is once again. 7.5 minutes, well, 7 3/4 of a minute to go. He's trying to put another win under his belt here at Phillip Island, and it's looking good. The 283 is on rails right now. Got that pass made on Bruno DeCarmo, and is officially the race leader here in round 3.
And Andrew, once again, after a long time, I guess we can say we have another 5-star motorsport driver leading the field. It's been a while, but, well, looks like they're back on top. Bruno is definitely not going to make this easy, though. You can see the gap. He's still right there, so no mistakes are going to be allowed right here.
Meanwhile, Eric Goldner has lost, or actually, he lost and I think regained the 4th spot over Lawrence Zavidal. These guys have gone back and forth, and now Lawrence kind of spacing back out, losing some time, and just riding in that 5th position. Fabio Zamperlini in 6th. I think a good day overall for Fabio, but he does have Roger Resende on his back end, so this is going to be interesting between these two. Likely a battle on the way.
You don't know what I find so interesting about this race as well? Dino Phillippa is in 3rd place, back in 3rd place. I mean, this is just, I guess, how crazy the race was. He was fighting for 1st, made a mistake, dropped all the way, I think, for 10th. I think it was at one point, just was running his own race, and all of a sudden, Andrew, he's still within a shot of that victory. And, I mean, what a race. Meanwhile, this guy right here, you can see he got damage fixed, but the damage was already done in terms of his finishing position. He's all the way down in 18th place. From P1
I would say this
to
would be
P18.
his drop, but he missed last week at COTA, or last race. That's going to be tough.
This is huge. This is huge for the championship.
Meanwhile, Ricardo Rico has recovered to 15th, so a top 15 for Ricardo, honestly, given the circumstances, is nothing to scoff at. The Arnage Competition 51. This won't be that bad, all things considered. It's still nearly the top half of the field.
Yeah, especially when you consider how long he stopped.
Position change to the race lead through turn 4 again. Bruno DeCarmo back to the point. The same way Matthew Dench passed him, he passes him back.
Yeah, the same exact way. It looks like it was down the inside, and Matthew probably wasn't expecting, and this brought Dino Phillippa, Andrew, back into contention for the lead. Less than 1 second separating Matthew Dench and Phillippa. This could be very interesting. Now, instead of a 2-horse race, we have a 3-horse race for the finish. 5 minutes to go. This is turning out to be a sprint one. And boy, oh boy, I don't know who to place my bets on. I think should be Matthew Dench, but I mean, all three of them are putting stellar performances right here.
And Dino, he's close. This is, wow. 5 minutes to go, inside of 5 minutes to go anyways. Your top three are definitely not who you would expect. Dino maybe from the start of the race, but if you were watching about 20 minutes ago, you would think he was done ages ago. You'd think he was out of this race, but here he is, right back in the fight for it as these guys battle out of turn 12. Roger Resende and Fabio Zamperlini. Fabio has had his fair share of battling guys by the name of Resende, hasn't he?
Absolutely, he did. And it looks like, well, I was going to say this battle was done and dusted, but
Whoa.
side by side through turn 1, we haven't seen this since lap number 1, I don't think. And looks like Resende gets that position back from Fabio. Boy, oh boy, these two are also in a battle. And Andrew, I think we can crown, well, not crown, but obviously I guess we can both decide what was the best race of the season so far. And boy, oh boy, we still have around 4 minutes to go.
Okayama was fun. It was hot. It was slidey. Coda was pretty cool, but this has definitely been just about an instant classic for the North American Racing League. Every once in a while, you have those kinds of races. This is it. It was VIR last season of the GT3 cars. Tonight, it's Phillip Island for the Porsche Cup cars. This battle's not done yet. We thought a few minutes ago maybe Matthew Dench was solidified as the race leader, potentially race winner, but now he's back on his heels as he's trying to catch back up to Bruno De Carmo and not slip up to Philippa. Dino back in this race, only 1 second back of Bruno De Carmo as they head back onto the front stretch. JP, this is 3 laps to go.
And this is pretty much coming into that point. Matthew needs to find that pace back. Dino needs to find a little bit extra pace. He was able to catch up, but it looks like he pretty much stagnated on 1.1 behind the leaders. So it's a question of Matthew just putting those laps together, putting those corners to perfection. Looks like Bruno De Carmo is doing that so far. So it's just, it's balancing itself out. Who's going to come out on top? It's all going to come down to perfecting the race, perfecting the corners, and not making a single mistake.
It's turn 4. You can see a battle brewing between Goldner and Zavadil, but they sort that back out as your race leaders stay single file. We are still expecting 34 laps. That's what the sim is telling us anyways, as far as an estimation for race laps. Of course, it's a timed race of 50 minutes as Persian gets on by Duckworth. Those two made contact on lap 1, and Duckworth turned Persian around, so a bit of quiet vengeance, if you will, for Alex Persian. But we're expecting 2 more laps after this, but they're getting awfully close, where it might only be 1, JP. It's going to be very close. They've got to have more than 1:30 on the clock when they get back. They're turning 129s and change. So really, they've got to have more than 129, I guess. It's going to be close, but I think they're going to get 2 more laps.
I definitely want 2 more laps, Andrew. And I mean, if you're Bruno, you don't want 2 laps. If you're Matthew, you need 2 laps.
2 laps.
And I think if you're Philippa, I mean, you need 5 laps. Looks like, yeah, you can see there Bruno De Carmo just waving, trying to break the slipstream, but he has nearly 4/10 of a second. He's going to be safe headed into turn number 1. Can he keep it all steady? Of course he can. He's been doing that all race. Matthew needs to find extra pace, Andrew. Where can he attack Bruno De Carmo?
It's got to be turn 1, I think, on the white flag. He's got to make that pass either turn 1 or turn 4. It seems like 4 is pretty safe. That's where he got the lead earlier, and it's where Bruno took it back. But he's got to do it on this last lap, and he's got to defend, certainly. And he gets real close in 4. Sweeps out wide, gives up time. That's what he cannot do, JP, to give up time with 2 to go. He's got to be hounding Bruno, either setting up for turn 4 on the final lap or forcing Bruno into a mistake, and missing the apex like that is not going to help him.
Absolutely not. Andrew came in too hot. He was fast in, but unfortunately slow out. Definitely not what he wants. You can see there the gap is pretty much the same between all 3 drivers, and you can see they're taking a different approach. Really got him, instead of closing up to Bruno, he really got Dino to close up on him. Bruno, a bit of a lockup in 10. Same for Philippa. It's going to bring the gap a bit closer. Now less than almost 4/10 of a second as we head into turns 11 and 12. As now, Andrew, all 3 of them are going to be getting the wide flag. A bit wide for Bruno. That could cost him, but I don't think he will. Once again, breaking the slipstream as we have the wide flag presented on the racetrack.
White flag presented by Whiplash Simcams. The final lap here at Phillip Island. It's not going to happen in turn 1 for Matthew Dench. Does it happen then in turn 4? Maybe turn 10. Is that the hairpin that works for the Australian? Here we go. Turn 2, the southern loop for the final time. He gains a little bit of time. Let's watch that bottom right. He's now down inside of 4/10, so he made up time that last lap. A third of a second back, closing. He could be at a quarter into turn 4. It's not going to happen in 4, but he closes in, under braking. Makes him so much time.
Wow, what a corner for him. What a braking zone. Really closed in quite a lot. He licked the stem and he sent it. And he needs to approach. He needs Andrew. That's going to be turn 10.
Oh, that's slip up. That's it.
Oh, that's going to cost him.
Fabio Zampolini in trouble on the final lap. He's off the racetrack. He's now into 11th, but back to second place for the race lead. What can Matthew Dench do on this final lap, JP? Could he set up for a draft maybe out of 12? Is that his final opportunity as he's too far back for a pass in turn 10, but he's going to close in, goes wide.
Oh, no.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that that settles it. Dino is not close enough. You can see there
Wow.
the gap is around half a second. A brilliant battle between these two. The Australian for once was leading the race, but unfortunately he's going to come home in second place as the number 66, who saw plenty of action even on lap number 1, is going to take home the win on round number 3. Matthew Dench looks like he's happy enough. He was weaving across the racetrack to finish in second place, and Dino Phillip, by injury against all odds, is still going to finish in third place.
Beautiful drive out of Bruno Ricarmo. Let's not discount that at all, but a little disappointed that it couldn't be Matthew Dench this evening in his home race. Here comes Scott Reister for the Pro-Am victory. We're going to be talking to Scott. How about that across the line? That is the good luck he's needed. He's happy. Oh, man, that's refreshing to see for Scott.
Yeah, he should be pretty happy, Andrew. And you can see a few extra drag races looks like we're going to have.
Whoa!
And, whoa, that was really close.
That was Samsoid with battling Mitchell Johnson, I believe. And Samsoid gets him for 11th. Ricardo Rico got Zamperlini for 13th.
Yeah, and you can see there a few extra drivers finishing up their races. And boy, oh boy, what a round we just had, Andrew. This was absolutely fantastic.
Bruno Del Carmo, impressive, certainly. I am wowed by the drive he put on. Here comes Dre Drawhorn. A great run last time out at Coda, not so much this evening at Phillip Island. He goes 23rd as one more car finishes. And, Tony Kanaan does get a penalty and drops to 25th. I'm not sure if that was admin assessed or iRacing assessed, but he will drop well out of the top 20. Let's bring up our unofficial race results this evening from Phillip Island.
Bruno Del Carmo, the number 66, is going to take home the win. Ahead of him, the home hero, Matthew Dench, is going to, less than half a second, Andrew. A brilliant race from both of them. Dino Phillip, after that mistake, somehow finishes in third place ahead of Eric Goldner, I should say. Lawrence Zavadil, the number 24, is going to finish in fifth place ahead of Roger Resende. Scott Reister, our Pro-Am winner. How about that? Marcelo Canoff is going to finish in 8th ahead of Rafael Bonifacio and Ryan Kerr.
Really impressive stuff from the entire top 10, especially, again, highlights. Well, your whole top 3, even Eric Goldner for hanging on to 4th, and Lawrence Zavadil for a top 5. Scott Reister, as you mentioned, with the Pro-Am victory. And how about Ryan Kerr in the top 10? I believe a home country driver as well out of Australia. Good effort there. Finishing 11th, there you see Samsoid just ahead of Mitchell Johnson. That's some pretty big points for Samsoid as well. That's pretty big for him. Ricardo Rico in the 13th spot. A big recovery drive for him. And honestly, all things considered, not that bad. Fabio Zamperlini, issues on the final lap, drop him to 14th, just ahead of Luan Hott. Victor Miranda in the 16th spot. Then Miguel Colon, Alex Persian, Scott Kimbrough, and Damon Duckworth. A page full of heartbreak.
21st place, we're going to have Lois Senti and Trace Dahlhorn. Both of them, Trace obviously being the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Wayne Castile, 23rd place, ahead of Lucas Souza. Tony Kanaan, Juliano Romagnolo, Gonzalo Cortez, and Brian Zinn. Andrew, unfortunately, those are the drivers that didn't finish on the lead lap, and unfortunate races for them. Really heartbroken for some of them as well.
Well, JP, we thought it was going to be a party for the Australians, but tonight it's a party for you Brazilians. Bruno Del Carmo goes to victory lane at Phillip Island, And, oh, wait, actually, never mind. He's not in the Discord channel just yet. Hopefully he joins us. We don't have Matthew Dench either, so what we can do is pop on down to Pro-Am. We do have Ryan Kerr, so JP, your second place driver from Pro-Am.
So Ryan, I mean, a great race for you to finish in second place. I guess, Scott Reiser was just unbeatable today, but you did everything you could and you finished, well, runner-up. How was the race from your point of view?
The race was actually pretty chill. Yeah, didn't really have much incidents apart from obviously the start, but other than that, we just tried to keep it clean, no incidents, and yeah, just try and bring home some points. That's it.
And obviously, it just dawned on me that I think you're in hometown as well, aren't you? This is kind of your home race, isn't it?
Yeah, not my hometown, but yeah, definitely I am from Australian, just north of Sydney, so yeah, definitely one of the home circuits.
So, I mean, how special is it to race, at your home circuit? I'm just throwing out a wild guess here. I'm expecting you to have quite a bit of experience around here, but how much fun is it to compete in one of the circuits that, it's part of your country?
Oh, it's awesome. I have personally driven this track in real life, and it is awesome, but I haven't had much experience at all on iRacing. I only bought it for this event, so yeah, other than that, it's awesome. Awesome race.
And looking towards Silverstone next week, obviously halfway across the world, I guess you can say, what are the expectations going to that, especially on this Porsche car?
Probably the same deal, but definitely Silverstone is not one of my strong points, but luckily we do have Stu and the Madness coaching to hopefully pull me up there.
Well, absolutely. With that being said, Ryan, we're definitely going to keep an eye out for you on Silverstone. We're going to be wishing you the best of luck on your practice, and obviously, well done on the second place finish.
Thank you. If it's just okay, I just got to mention out a few people. Oceana Coffee, Scott there. Yeah, he's been awesome supporting the coach and all the guys. Obviously, Madness and their gloves. Awesome. Definitely a good bit of gear. And yeah, that's about it.
Absolutely,
Thanks,
Ryan. Absolutely. And, well, best of luck for next week.
No worries. See you guys.
So, Andrew, that was Ryan Kerr's second place finish. I guess another hometown hero, or home country hero, I guess we can say, for Australia. But, yeah, he was sounding pretty happy, and we're going to have to wait and see what he does at Silverstone.
Before we bring in the Pro-Am race winner of Scott Reiser, I do want to mention props to Ricardo Rico. He just popped into the YouTube chat apologizing for that mistake. You don't see that very often, where drivers will even go to the broadcast to apologize for a mistake. And you know what? That's part of racing. Drivers will make mistakes sometimes. No, we get fired up about it. I know the drivers get fired up about it, but that is part of racing at the end of the day. And props to Ricardo Rico for owning up to that one. Let's bring in, though, your Pro-Am race winner, somebody we rarely ever get to talk to anymore. But hey, Scott Reiser shaking off some rust, and maybe not even rust, just shaking off some of that bad luck, getting that monkey off your back. Finally, we come down under, and I guess it just falls off because gravity works that way, right? Anyways, a race win, Pro-Am for the 42 car. I'm speechless, aside from what I just said.
I had to look twice. I couldn't believe it, especially in the P Cup. This is the last thing I would have thought I would win in. But this is one of my better tracks on the circuit, so that really helped.
And it looked fantastic, by the way. Love the sunrise start and the morning race here for the Pro-Ams. What is it about Phillip Island that works for you? The flowing corners, the sweepers, the high speed, what is it?
I just think the flowing corners, being able to see what's coming up next, and it's easier on my braking points on this track for some reason. When it comes to closed circuits, I have issues with, but when it's an open circuit like this, I tend to excel in.
Well, Scott Reiser grabbing a race win this evening in Pro-Am. I think, like I said, shaking off a lot of that nasty bad luck you've had for a long time. How big is this just as far as relief? Showing that, yes, you can go out there and win in class. Yes, you can put a top 10 together overall. How much of a relief is this?
Oh, I'm still not believing it. But I've got to thank a bunch of people for helping me get to this point. Stu, has, with Muradness, has helped me for the past 2 races with this car, and he has by far gotten me a lot quicker. And I gotta thank Gustavo for helping me with all the setups. He's been sending me the setups each week, so Gustavo's really helped out with that part.
Well, it's a race win for car 42. Silverstone next week. How do you like your odds?
I like Silverstone. If I can do this again, I'd be ecstatic. But my luck lately has not been so good, so I'm still not believing it.
Well, there you go. Car 42 in victory lane this evening in Pro-Am. I think redeeming himself quite a bit and showing that, yes, he can still do it. High expectations for Silverstone for the rest of us. We'll be watching Car 42. Scott, congratulations this evening. We'll talk to you next week, potentially, up in Great Britain.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for the broadcast.
I'd almost forgotten what Scott Reister's voice sounded like. I'm not going to lie. So good to hear from him after a race like this. And really, really cool to see him grab a race win. Let's go on now to the pro classes. We've got Matthew Dench standing alongside. And Matthew, of course, we hype you up a whole lot coming into this race, whether you like it or not. We hype you up coming to Phillip Island, and I'm sure we will for Bathurst again. But you showed why we hyped you up. You got that race lead from Bruno Di Carmo in turn 4, but then you lost it. What happened?
Yeah, I just underfueled the car a little bit, and once we got ahead of Bruno there, we tried to go back to normal race pace, and yeah, I just didn't have the fuel to run flat out, so I got on the clutch, and he didn't expect it, so it was pretty lucky he didn't hit me, but yeah, that let him go back up the inside, unfortunately, and then yeah, couldn't get back by.
So what is it about Phillip Island? I mean, we're going to see the same kind of strength out of you at Bathurst. I know there's the whole stereotype of, Australians at Phillip Island, at Bathurst, and just like Brazilians down at Interlagos, but it really is true. You guys just have a knack for these racetracks. Do we see this out of you again at Bathurst?
I'd have to put in a fair bit of practice to put on a good show for Bathurst. Not really my strong suit, but I do know my way around that, so we'll have to see.
And I talked a lot about this being a big opportunity for you and your season. It's been a rough go for a lot of veterans in this series, but this is huge. A couple of laps led, second place. I mean, you led here, and you nearly had the race win. How does this carry into next week at Silverstone?
I mean, I've sort of lost touch with the Porsche Cup cars, not really enjoying them that much. So I've just been turning up to the race with no practice, so yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes.
There you go, Matthew Dench, second this evening at Phillip Island. Matthew, congratulations on a fantastic drive. We were all rooting for you a little bit there against Bruno, but you guys made it really exciting at the end. We'll talk to you hopefully next week at Silverstone.
Yeah, hope so. I'll see you all then.
Matthew Dench from 5-Star Motorsport, capping off a pretty good night of racing. And JP, it's not quite Bruno Di Carmo, but Dino Filippa comes in third place after his up and down roller coaster night. Let's go ahead and talk to him.
So Dino, once again, after that mistake, you just came through with an astounding pace. How was the race for you?
¿Cómo andan? Sí, la verdad que venía siendo una carrera muy buena. Traté de arrancar tranquilo y a mitad de stint vi que tenía un poco más de ritmo que Víctor. Intenté atacar. Y bueno, desde mi cámara había parecido como que él se había abierto en la frenada y me había pegado, pero nada, después mirando el replay vi que fue un netcode bastante grande, así que nada, mala suerte para mí. Quedé fuera e intentar remontar para ver si podía pescar algo y bueno, vi que se equivocaron Ricardo y Víctor en boxes y ahí fue como que tenía alguna chance de poder ganar la carrera, pero llegué a los primeros faltando muy pocas vueltas y el aire sucio no me dejó atacar en ningún momento.
En las últimas vueltas tú estabas con un ritmo muy fuerte, pero acabaste ficando naquela distancia de un segundo y no conseguiste llegar muy perto de Matthew. ¿Cuán difícil era tentar uma ultrapassagem nas últimas voltas?
Sí, tenía mejor ritmo, creo que quedó demostrado ahí en las últimas vueltas que salí de boxe y pude recortar esos 3 segundos. Pero sí, en las curvas rápidas era muy difícil. Había que levantar mucho, o sea, en la última curva había que levantar bastante. Ya la goma delantera derecha estaba muy gastada. Eso te hacía salir un poco despegado a la recta y ellos tenían un poquito más de velocidad. Entonces no podía atacar, o sea, la única forma de atacar era saliendo muy cerca, que se me hacía imposible. Además, éramos 3, entonces Matthew tenía rebufo del primero, así que no. Intenté de todas formas, pero ya no tenía más gomas ni tiempo para poder esperar algún error o algo de eso.
E em 7 dias teremos uma corrida em Silverstone. Será que teremos uma vitória de você? Como acha que tuas chances serão em Silverstone?
Creo que depende mucho de la suerte porque últimamente no me está acompañando. Siempre me está pasando algo en las carreras, no estoy pudiendo redondearla. Pero vamos a intentar, vamos a prepararla bien y vamos a poner todo a ver si se da. Hoy tenía mucha fe de que se me dé la victoria, pero bueno, cosas que pasan y dentro de 7 días tenemos revancha.
Com certeza, Dino. Muito obrigado pelo seu tempo. Se quiser agradecer N patrocinadores, agora é a hora. E well, mi parabéns, muy bien en la corrida hoy.
Muchas gracias. Deja mandar un saludo a todos los chicos de Auris, a John, a Joseba, a Xavi, a todos los que están ahí siempre, a los chicos del Discord también que están mirando la carrera y bueno, a ustedes por el campeonato que están organizando.
Com certeza, muito obrigado e buena sorte en la próxima corrida.
Dale, nos vemos.
So Andrew, well, Spanish, I don't know. But, well, I think I understood a couple of things. He was mentioning that his race was good. His race pace was really good in the beginning of the race. He actually thought and, well, he believed that he was faster than Victor. And we saw, those attacks coming in. And then it looks like in the contact, as far as I could understand, he thought Victor came in on him and, pushed him a bit off. But as soon as he looked in the replay, apparently there was some net code between him and Victor. That's what pushed him a bit wide in turn 6. So as far as I could understand, that was that. When mentioning, the battles, obviously he mentioned that, he was lucky between Victor and, just getting those positions on the pit stops when they had those issues. So, and at the end of the race, he mentioned that it was just way too difficult to close up enough on Matthew Dench to, move in trying to get that position, especially because he was having to lift up so much on turn 12, just due to tire degradation. So it was just really difficult. In Silverstone, he just mentioned that he needs quite a bit of luck because things haven't been going his way and he really wants that victory. He's going to practice a lot and, well, he's just going to wait to see how it goes.
Well, Dino Phillip takes third place this evening, but JP, Bruno de Carmo checked into the Discord chat just in time, and here is your race winner.
Bom, Bruno, pela primeira vez falando contigo aqui, direto, bom, da linha do vencedor. Cara, como foi essa tua corrida? Foi uma corrida bem movimentada, mas tu acabou ganhando.
Obrigado, João. Eu posso falar em inglês mesmo?
O que tu preferir, em português ou em inglês?
Okay, yeah, it's in North America, so I'm thinking English is way better. Thank you so much, guys. Wow, it was a pretty hard race. My God, I'm struggling too much with this car since the beginning. We practiced a lot with the Texaco team, so the car was really good. Tony Canan helped on the setup. All the teams member help a lot on the setup, and the car was feeling really good. I knew I had to avoid every mistake, so that was the main goal for the race, because the draft was pretty hard, pretty strong. And once I saw the Vitor Miranda staying close to us, not pushing, not getting a big gap, so I started to save some fuel,
and it worked pretty well. I'm really happy with this race, and thanks a lot to everyone that watching on my Twitch channel, and thank you so much, guys, for this awesome championship.
Dino Phillip mentioned, that once he was closing in on the last few laps to Matthew, he thought it was really difficult with the dirty air. And you were battling with Matthew. How difficult was it to manage, that slipstream, the dirty air, the lack of downforce on those final few laps?
It was pretty hard. I was struggling also with the understeer at the last sector, and once I let Matthew overtake so I can have some fuel save, I thought I couldn't take that position back. I thought he had the race, and lucky for me, he had to save some fuel and let me pass again, and then it was totally fine to get this win. I'm really happy with the performance.
Absolutely. And next week we're going to Silverstone. How do you rate your chances?
The field it's too much for me. I guess I had too much luck today, but let's see on the next race. Let's see how we perform.
Absolutely. With that being said, Bruno, thank you so much for your time, and I'm gonna wish you the best of luck for next week at Silverstone.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
So Andrew, that was Bruno. You could tell he was pretty happy. Just gonna have to wait and see how things go at Silverstone. But with the round that he had, it just shows that the race is never over until it's over. So all drivers just need to keep their head up high and just run their own races, I guess.
Bit of a long-winded post-race show, but thanks to all of you for sticking around so far. Upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV. Here is the list of them for the next week of racing here on the channel. Sunday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, it's the MPI Cup Series at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the brand new Atlanta Motor Speedway at that. The brand new 28-degree banking, higher than any other intermediate in stock car racing, is going to be a lot of fun. Brand new track. Brand new cars still, I think is a good way to put it, and the brand new damage model as well for those NASCAR Gen 7 vehicles, and of course all of the characters, all of the bedazzle, if you will, all the excitement of the MPI Cup Series. It's going to be fun, and well, then you see the same cars, but on Wednesday night, Daytona International Speedway, a lot of that same excitement carries over into the Outlaws Sim Series, Wednesday evening, 7:30 Eastern. Emerson Arden, of course, on the call for that as always. They had a great race at Eldora this past week. That is certainly a must-watch if you can on the channel. And look at that. Thursday, Silverstone Circuit, 4th North American Racing League Porsche Cup Series, heading on to England. Next Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. JP, there's a lot of places to keep up with Pit Stop TV. The list at the bottom of the screen.
Absolutely. You can follow us on Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Twitter.com/PitStopTV_, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, and YouTube.com/PitStopTV1.
Plenty of places to hang out with us at Pit Stop TV, follow along, and get big-time updates. We certainly recommend doing so. Certainly hope you'll do so. By all means, give us that like on Facebook, that follow on Twitter and Instagram. We would certainly appreciate it, and it means a lot to us. As far as the North American Racing League goes, up next, as we talked about Silverstone, then Circuit Gilles Villeneuve up in Canada. Two really good races on the way, two current Formula One circuits coming up. We've had we've had one already at COTA. We keep talking about this Formula One feeling to the schedule. It just keeps on going, JP. Formula One track after Formula One track.
Yeah, absolutely. And some, they would be interesting if they were in F1. I think Indianapolis would be certainly a welcome change in F1. Actually it was. What am I talking about? It would be fun to have it today in Formula One. For some reason, I didn't connect the dots. I was too young when it was on the schedule. But yeah, it's just amazing schedule. And so far, Andrew, the two tracks that haven't been on F1 posted amazing races. Austin was so much fun as well with the weather and obviously the races. But Silverstone, it always delivers. So I cannot wait to see what the drivers will do for us around the British weather, I guess we could say, in the British territory.
And JP, I had to fact check this. I told everybody I'd fact check this at some point. I just looked into it. The first post-war, so post-World War II, Australian Grand Prix, you want to know where it was held?
Philippine? No, not Philippine. I don't know.
Mount
Where was
Panorama.
it? Really?
Every circuit in this schedule has held Formula One. Or at least, it wasn't really Formula
Some
One.
Ford.
Yeah, it wasn't really Formula One for Phillip Island and Bathurst, but it was the Australian Grand Prix, which now goes to Melbourne and now is a Formula One event. So technically, these are all Formula One circuits. I didn't know that. I just looked it up. Well, there you go. That's your fun fact of the evening. As we wrap up this evening from Phillip Island, that's something I didn't know before today, so hopefully I just spread some knowledge across. Check it out more on the internet if you so choose. Interesting. Didn't know that one, but we do appreciate you guys all tuning in this evening. We appreciate our partners here with the North American Racing League, of course, VRS, Virtual Racing School, Moradness Driver Coaching, Tam Livery, JS Consulting. They all do so much for this series. And our partners here at Pit Stop TV, of course, Whiplash Media Simcams, SimRatMarket.com, and Permanent Makeup and Cryo and Maine. If you want to get involved with the league, by all means, check out NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com. I believe you can contact them there. And if you want to get involved with Pit Stop TV, email us directly. Email me directly at Andrew@PitStopTV.com. That will do it for us this evening from Phillip Island. It's been a whole lot of fun. JP Costa on the mic with us, on the mic with me, I should say, and Emerson Arden, of course, on social media, holding things down over there, doing a fantastic job as always. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Phillip Island was a fun one. It's Silverstone next to the series, but we hope you'll be here on Sunday night for the MPI Cup Series from the Atlanta Motor Speedway at 9 Eastern. We'll see you there.